So it was another pretty good week this week. I thought you gave it 2 bangings on the Street Talk Short, so you rated it higher than me. But I think that for me, it was obviously the Leanne, Toyah, Nick story that made it so brilliant. It feels like Coronation Street is doing a lot more of the surprise twist episodes. Because we had this one, we had Joel and Dee-Dee, the discovery there a couple of weeks ago. It feels like they're experimenting a bit more with keep taking us by surprise,
Yeah, not being, the thing is, it's not always predictable, but when you tell people what's going to happen,
This is true. I wonder whether this is a Verity McLeod thing, whether we're seeing any Kate Brooks influence yet. She must be in the building while these episodes are going down, and having something maybe even to do with how they're being marketed. What's the right word? Promoted. Exactly.
Maybe it's like an episode of Ghosts.
Where
only one person can hear her.
You reckon? They're getting it just right, I think, with what they are and what they aren't telling us. Having a look at the synopsis of Wednesday's episode, it did talk about Leanne having a snoop about on Rowan's computer and finding the Nick and Toyah folder, but it doesn't say whether she goes into it. And obviously everything that's happened after then, not in the synopsis at all.
Why are you looking at the synopsis?
I looked at it afterwards, don't worry. I just wanted to see what they were told.
So what are you talking about? The synopsis.
The synopsis that gets published ahead of the episodes. I didn't look at it beforehand, but I looked at it since.
ITV.
Yeah, well, in the.
Well, there's 2, aren't there? There's the ones that they publish going, ITVX find out on Friday. This is what's going to happen, and then there's the press one.
It's the press one, the couple of paragraph ones, and even on Friday's one, there was like one line of Nick and Toyah because they couldn't say what was going to happen because they hadn't revealed what was going to happen on Wednesday.
You're not allowed to look at that anymore.
I am. I'd look at it.
You're not.
I am. I can look at it if I want to after it's happened. So yeah, it's fantastic. And I hope that this continues. It's still a little bit of a shame for me that I feel like we go through a good number of episodes where I'm just a bit, it was okay. But then does that make the surprise twist episodes even better because I've been trundling along?
It can't be every episode's amazing. It just can't be. It's not how it works.
No, it doesn't have to be.
Because different storylines are less interesting to you, but other people might like them more. And different character sets. Like, this is blasphemy. And, if the Twitter people hear this, they're going to drag me. I'm not really that bothered about Swain and Carla.
No.
But other people absolutely love any even small development of that storyline.
There was a little bit of that tonight, wasn't there?
Might have been.
Betsy watered on something. I know what you mean, but even I've been very forthright in saying I'm still not really on the Dee-Dee, Joel, Lauren train, but the odd episode in that storyline can still come along and knock me off my socks because I wasn't.
Knock you off your socks.
Knock my socks off. That's the ways, isn't it? Yeah, I was like thinking, I wish that I could feel the same excitement as a lot of other people do about it. And then you get the Monday episode from a couple of weeks ago where Dee-Dee uncovers about him, and I was on the edge of my seat for the whole thing. So they can still do it with any story, for all we know. Next week could have a massive Cassie and Steve development that's going to really surprise us on our script. I don't know.
She's pregnant with his baby.
Well, it could be. He is very virile, that Steve McDonald, and now he's had a full-on wax down there.
There's no barrier. To success.
exactly that. It just lets them escape everywhere. So I went into Wednesday's episode not knowing what was coming, and I left it very, very satisfied.
What happened in the week?
We're going to talk about that storyline first. We're talking about the Toyah, Nick's, Leanne's boyfriend story first. Then we have got the Daring Hunter, which is my new name for Swain, because she has got her sights set on taking Mr. Deering down, hasn't she?
If only she had a Hunter Tracker app.
Yes, Hunter Tracker, exactly. That could be it as well. They think it's Paul over. It's coming soon. Even Paul himself today said he doesn't think there's long left, but that's going to be our third storyline. Jack off the hook. It's going to be the next one. Filthy Mind.
That was so weird.
It was very much a case of, we've built up to something. Okay, so it's fine. Community order, don't mention it.
Okay, say in the next one.
Trace back to the source, because I haven't still got a storyline title for Tracy coming back and everything apart from that.
Other highlights this week that we're going to cover anyway. Gail is back.
Yes.
First time since March.
Yeah, mid-March, wasn't it?
And I don't know when these episodes were filmed. When do you think they were filmed?
Well, 8 weeks ago, so what we're saying now must have been kind of July time.
July.
Yeah.
Because some things happened this week. There were a few bits of shoddiness. And I'm sorry, I'm being blunt today. I can't be bothered.
You go for it.
But
vent away.
Do you know what I mean? There are a few bits here where I was like, this is not as polished as it normally is. This is Coronation Street. What have they done here? And Gail was back. So I wonder whether this is the beginning of refilming because a certain character hasn't appeared. And I don't know, can we talk... we did talk about it, I can't remember.
We talked about stuff in Street in a cabin extra, that there's been a few little last minute changes of the script behind the scenes.
Can we just say...
And a bit more last minute refilming.
I'm just going to say, Sean Wilson was supposed to be in the show and he's not in it now, and they had to
I suppose we can say that, isn't it? Because we're not
a
spoiling
spoiler.
because it's not actually happening.
So he played Martin, and he was supposed to come back in the show. And we know that because he got taken out after filming a few episodes, and they'd written quite
Makes
a lot.
It sound like they had a sniper on the roof.
I just
filled them with more holes than Swiss cheese.
We really don't know what happened to Michael, but some of this stuff feels like they didn't have time to polish it because they had to do other things. And I'll get to what I mean specifically. I mean, there was somebody on our Facebook group said there was a hand in a scene that shouldn't have been there.
Oh, yes, we didn't watch that,
We never got a chance to
rewatch it.
Maybe I'll just say it now. There was a scene with Rowan confronting Leanne in her flat, and she went for the door, missed it, opened the door. You know, Jane Danson fumbled opening the door, and then Rowan said her name twice in a row, which sounded really clumsy, and I don't think that was in the script because it didn't come up on the subtitles. And at the end of the scene, she makes a funny noise and she's crying, which I don't think felt like the final. Like, none of this felt like the final take or a normal take, and it's no reflection on the actors at all because they do more than one take. They always do more than one take. This was a very physical scene, quite confrontational, very emotional, and there were just mistakes that went to air.
It was no 60s boom drop, was it?
It wasn't like noticeably.
And I didn't notice it at all. But you were wound back, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe.
Like her going for the handle and it slips out her hand and then she opens it again. It's just. I can understand an argument for saying, "Oh, keep it in because that's real life that happens," but it was just a bit distracting because it felt like a mistake rather than an intentional thing. And again, I don't want anyone to say that I'm slighting anybody here. I just feel as though something's happening. You know, you're praising it for less publicity for twists, which is better for watching. But I'm saying there's other things that seem to have happened during this week, clumsy mistakes.
But it's not been much, and I didn't notice it at all.
Really, is that not just a good reflection on how polished it is normally, that these things really stood out to me?
Yeah,
and I want to know, did anyone else notice it?
Your little conspiracy theory was that part of reshoots.
Part of reshoots, or was it time crunched because... Look, get this scene done. We've got another 2 scenes we've got to film today because we have to do these reshoots and we haven't got... Really, they've got no extra time. That's the other thing I want everyone to understand is reshoots can only happen during the week. There's no extra studio time because over the weekend they use the set for the tours. So, and also, if you're doing outdoor scenes this time of the year... You're losing light. You can't just have daylight scenes all the way up to 9 o'clock at night. It must be so pressured. But you know, despite everything, they're still doing a really good job. That just really.
Yeah, it was worth mentioning.
But I don't know if it was a mistake or just me being nitpicky.
Never.
Watch it again. See what you guys think. When Rowan goes and confronts Leanne in her flat
On Wednesday's
episode, see what you think.
Yeah, and see if you can spot the hand that appears in the shot in Paul's flat.
Paul's flat, yeah. I think it was when Summer
by
was
the
there.
door. Okay, right. So the Toyah, Nick's, Leanne's boyfriend story we will cover first. Riddled with mistakes as it was. No, not really. It was just a little bit.
What do you mean?
What? No, it was just what you said.
Oh.
Just a little.
Look, sorry, it just happened, and look, this is a podcast about a television show where we talk about the show longer than it's on air. We're going to nitpick.
So it's all kind of started off with Toyah worrying about in the Institute fleecing Amy, and Nick saying, "Look, don't fret about it."
Amy's decided that she doesn't want to keep her money in as an investment, and that they're rooking her.
Yeah, she's saying that they've stolen from me, but they haven't actually, and I can't remember whether it was this week or last week that she's told that literally. I think it was last week, wasn't it? When she's told this is a civil matter rather than a criminal matter.
There's nothing anyone can do about it.
But Nick's saying to Toyah, look, don't fret about it. You just need rest, and also mushrooms on toast apparently, because that's what
vegetarians eat.
Yeah. So Leanne goes over to Amy in the pub and tries to apologise, and Amy's like, well, look, can I have my job back at least? And Tracy's there managing to wangle a pay rise out of her as well. 40 grand pay rise might have been nice, but I suppose she can't work miracles. Leanne says that you still planning to sue the Institute, and then Tracy's like, yeah, absolutely, we are taking him to the cleaners. And Leanne's desperately trying to say, look, that's not a good idea, because she's been told by Rowan, hasn't she? You get Amy to back off here, because he doesn't want any more legal matters going on. Exactly. So, Rowan tells Leanne later that he's going to send Amy's files to her. And these are the upload recordings that were taken during when was it? Last Monday's upload session. Leanne says, "What? Hang on a minute. Why? You said you were going to delete that. That was just there for training purposes or whatever." And he says, "Oh, well, I did delete it at the time, but since this has come out with Amy trying to sue us, the tech guys have managed to retrieve them. I wonder if he's got the same tech guys as old Swain has on Joel's phone, because they're pretty good, pretty quick."
Leanne can't fathom emptying the recycling bin on a desktop computer.
Yeah, maybe what happened was that Rowan asked Leanne to delete it, and she just pressed the delete button and thought that was enough.
Well, she's looking for dirt on Amy from these upload sessions to try and stop her from suing.
Yeah.
And so Leanne's like, this is blackmail.
Yeah, and Rowan's like, oh no, we're just trying to give Amy a reality check. Litigation is a very dirty business, you know. We need to show her that we're benevolent and we're willing to play fairly with her. But we will show our teeth if we need to. And so that kind of ends the episode there. There was a funny scene where Amy's back working in the bistro later, talking to Nick and Toyah and saying, "Oh, wish I'd listened to you. Some people," I can't remember what she says, but she's like, "Oh, some people will believe anything," and then Leanne comes in, and it was funnier to watch it, I'm sure. Wednesday, that's when it all kicks off. This is what I wanted to get onto. Max's birthday, 18. Can you believe it?
No, I can't.
Oh my gosh, I
old.
Remember how old was Max when he came into the show? He must have been like 5, 6 or so when he was that wee little Harry McDermott. He was such a little cutie, and now I can't believe he's 18. And this is why Gail is. This is what a momentous occasion it is that Gail has deigned to turn up for it.
They said free meal. Gail said what time?
Yeah, and where is it? Oh, it's the bistro. Well, beggars can't be choosers, Gail.
Nick's throwing another Platt family do at the bistro.
What could possibly go wrong? Well, I did feel a bit sorry for Max, because he was like saying, "I want to meet my mates," and he doesn't get the chance, does he?
Doesn't he? Bugger off at the end of this. Go, see you later, everybody. I think he should have done.
Well, Bobby didn't make an appearance. And
who's Bobby? Oh yeah.
That's right. It has been a little while since we've seen Bobby.
I wasn't being mean. I forgot.
Did you just have a moment of blissful ignorance there?
Oh man, you know what? I'm starting to feel bad about it, because I do feel like Bobby's been ostracised.
He has a little bit.
It wasn't
has
his
he
fault.
served his purpose already?
It wasn't his fault. He got written crap.
Yeah, he really did.
They did him dirty on the show. Sorry.
But anyway, Max, you're not allowed to have friends if you're on this program.
Who's your friends?
So
Lauren,
Sabrina
and
Gav,
yeah.
Lauren. Yeah. No, nobody that Coronation Street particularly wants. Well, I mean, we're seeing an awful lot of Lauren at the moment, but not in your storyline, Max. So take your family and deal with it, all right? So
enjoy your Plat Prosecco.
we that's plat. That's what they call in French. That's the word for like still.
Is it?
Yeah. So prosecco plat is probably.
Oh God, it sounds dreadful.
Yeah, it's just wine.
White wine.
Yeah. Anyway, enough of the linguistics. AI Ollie gets a momentary appearance on Wednesday's episode.
Oh my God, you know what? I've just had a dark thought. What if Rowan uses AI Ollie to try to convince Leanne to come back to the Institute?
I'm still really wondering what's going to happen, because Rowan, I know we're skipping ahead, but he didn't make an appearance at all on Friday, did he? Has he gone? Are we
done? But why? Imagine Ollie, because Ollie keeps talking to her, doesn't he? Like, Mummy, why are you doing this? The Institute will take me away.
He seems to have a fairly limited repertoire of phrases, much like Paul's eye gaze stock
Mummy.
phrases.
He's also suddenly gone southern, hasn't he?
I don't know, I think that's just you.
Hello, Mummy.
creepy child voice. Now, I don't know, because we didn't see Rowan on Friday. We do know that, from my interview with Emery's Cooper, that he has got more to do. But I remember back in the summer seeing Emery's going off on Instagram and saying, "Oh, I'm back in LA for a bit," but I don't know when that's happened, and I wonder whether he's hidden away somewhere and he's coming up with this is
He's skipping ahead again.
Rowan, of course, putting some kind of plot together about how to get the ultimate revenge before he himself is taken down. I don't know, but I am skipping ahead. Right, we'll come to that.
Yeah, come on.
So, basically,
Max is sad. He's having his birthday.
Yeah, I know. I've said all this already.
I know.
She gets a text from Rowan saying, "Look, come to the hotel quickly." So she rushes off.
Who's she?
Leanne. Who do you think? Toyah.
I know, but you need to be clearer when you're saying. You're supposed to be reading notes out, not just saying she and he.
I'm not reading notes. I'm ad-libbing based on the notes that have been put together as an aide memoir. So, what Rowan wants to do with Leanne is get her to go through Amy's records and see if she can find any other dirt that she can use on her, basically. And I did get a little bit confused by this, and I think you did as well. She finds out the bit in the file where Amy admits to kidnapping the guy last year, doesn't she? And she's like, "Oh, we could use this against Amy." Now, this was bizarre because what I'm thinking, why wasn't that used as part of the malware session last week? Because they brought up the rape, they brought up the abortion, but they didn't bring up this, and I don't get why. And I would have thought that as Leanne, because Leanne was there literally the day before the malware session, listening to Amy upload, hearing Amy say, not a year ago, I spiked this guy, put tape over his mouth and almost left him out on the dockyard to die. Would that not stick in her head? And it felt like from when she was looking at her file today, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot that massive confession that Amy gave.
This was super clumsy. They clearly wanted Leanne to get onto the computer so she would have access to the files later on for the story.
Yeah.
But why couldn't they just have said, Rowan saying, right, get on there, find the recording of her talking about the guy she kidnapped and use that.
Yeah, but I think part of it was Rowan wanted to make Leanne feel like she was the one doing it, because Rowan clearly knew about this spiking, but when Leanne finds it, Rowan's like, by gosh, you're right, she did say that she nearly spiked, or that she spiked and nearly killed a man. Let's use that. Well done, Leanne, you're so clever. He knew exactly what he was doing, so I don't think they could have had him be so direct as that. But yeah, the fact that Leanne seemed to have forgotten this massive confession.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was a little odd, but never mind. He's like, this is dynamite, let's do it. So cut to Amy in the salon getting her hair done when she gets this message from
What was David doing with that hair? Why is he trying to cut a woman's hair that's dry?
I don't notice these things.
You don't? Okay.
Give him a quick squirt of the bottle first. That he can't, because he sold it. He sold his bottle on the ITV Reloved site. We know this.
Squirt it with water.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway,
how much are you paying for this haircut?
Amy's message says, "Urgent, listen now." And no, it's not just the latest episode of Conversation Street's come down for download. She's got a sound file there, and we don't hear. Do we hear?
We do.
Oh yeah, we do. Yeah, she goes into the back of the salon and listens, and it's the extract from her upload about kidnapping this guy. So she rushes out thinking, "Oh my gosh, they've got this on me."
Yeah, this anonymous message.
Yeah, because she didn't know that she'd been recorded, did she? But again, that ties into my confusion with the malware session last week when Amy didn't seem confused that everybody knew her secrets.
No.
Same with Leanne. Leanne seemed shocked Leanne wasn't shocked at all, should I say, in her malware session when everybody started talking about, burning down the restaurant when she'd been told that it wasn't recorded. So, I don't know, maybe to me, the sequence of events didn't quite work.
Yeah,
luckily I was caught up in the drama, I didn't really mind.
Yeah, we're not going to keep nitpicking.
We would never nitpick. If somebody wants to explain it to us, please do. We try our best. Anyway, David and Shona, later on in the episode, very nearly walk in on Nick and Toyah. And
in the bistro.
In the bistro, yeah. They're almost having a sesh. This, I must admit, I confession time, I have seen the trailer, the September trailer. Didn't mean to, but I have seen the trailer that Coronation Street, put out for September. But already some of what was in that has appeared in this week's episodes, including that scene in the bistro with Toyah going, "Oh, Nick, I just want to kiss you, I want to get my hands all over you," or whatever it was. And I remember watching the trailer going, "No, why is this still going on?" But now I'm like, oh, it's possibly over with it after the first week, I'm not sure. But yeah, she's there unable to keep her knickers on when David and Shona are nearly walking because they're bringing Max's birthday cake for him. And they don't see anything, but Shona is like...
They jump apart and Shona's like, "What?"
Shona says they were totally at it.
Yeah, and they don't say anything. David and Shona walk out and Shona's like, "Oh my God, I think they're having an affair." And David's like, "No, you've got brain damage."
Shona, I think she kind of likes the drama of it until it actually turns out to be true. I think she prefers the idea of having some gossip rather than the reality of these two are actually having an affair behind Leanne's back.
I was kind of refreshed by how morally outraged Shona was about this, because I think we get really jaded watching this show. Everyone's always having an affair with everyone else, and the only people that really seem to care are the people that are directly involved, like the other partner or something. We get very few scenes of people going, "You dirty strumpet," or "You horrible dog," or something. Shona was like really judgmental and harsh, which I thought was...
Well, she wasn't, when it came out, she wasn't even judgmental in a jokey Shona
she was
way.
like proper, like...
She was properly outraged, like you possibly would be in real life.
I mean, some people would be, some people would mind their own business.
Yeah, but it does show how Shona has grown since her days of post-shot in a box-ness, where I think her reaction probably would have been a little bit closer to what we saw from Max when it all came out, which is like saying this is
Max
brilliant.
Just
but
loving it.
I mean, you're never going to see me complaining about inclusion of Shona because she has been woefully underused in the past few years. So I do wonder how much, if at all, she's going to be used in this storyline now the fallout has started, because we got a little bit with her and Leanne in today's episode, didn't we? Is she going to be Leanne's surprise ally in this? Not really sure. Don't know, but I wouldn't
worry about it.
I'm not worried about it. I just think that it would be nice to have an opportunity to see more Shona. But anyway. Amy, meanwhile, has heard of this recording on her phone, so she rushes to try and find Leanne about it. I think Leanne's in the street at this point, in Victoria Street, and Amy's saying, "Look, this is so unfair. Is the Institute trying to ruin my life or something? Has this happened to you too? Is this why you're siding with Rowan? What dirt have they got on you, Leanne? One day he's going to stab you in the back just like he's stabbing me." And you can tell that this is cutting Leanne deep, because this is pretty much... Well, it's not exactly what's going on, is she? She does know that the Institute have got something on her, but I don't think that that's the only thing that's keeping her with them, do you? She clearly believes that the Institute are an organisation for good, that she's benefited from being a part of it, and even after the whole affair things come out, she still thinks they're pretty kosher.
There is a famous cult that you might know if I said the name, but I wouldn't dare, who has people who have been quite badly mistreated, leaving or, deciding they didn't want to be in it anymore. But they still, even though they are being actively harassed by members of this group, still believe completely in the methods that are used there. And some of them have even started off their own splinter groups. So...
And it has helped Leanne, hasn't it? It's helped her in some way to come to terms with Ollie's death.
You know, and they don't like it when I say this, but I just can't see that they've done, like, the self-help parts of the Institute. I don't think there's anything wrong with them at all. I think it's not for everybody, but the same way, you know, you have cognitive behavioural therapy or talking therapy or even medication or lots of different methods to help you overcome mental issues that you might have. They don't all work for everybody. It's just like when you go to like the NHS and say, can you please help me because I'm having anxiety, they don't go, well, give me £10,000 and invest in this new welfare centre and we'll help you out. And
do you think Rowan's just sitting there at the Institute waiting for Leanne to walk in one day and say, we're a bunch of crooks, aren't we? Brilliant, I'm in. Because he knows, I think he does believe in the Institute himself, and I think that he believes that since his days of Luke Salter, they helped him to turn his life around. But he knows he's tricking people. He knows he's conning people out of money.
Look,
but Leanne doesn't, and I think she can't go up to the next level until she does something purposefully devious.
I'm still really waiting for the shoe to drop on this resource centre. I think everybody thinks, and they don't think this is wrong, it's a scam. There isn't one. They're just taking money and they're going to run. But that doesn't really make sense to me because this institute is a real thing. They've got groups and you know, people, there's lots of people around. They've got a building, they have seminars. This isn't all fake. It's not like a bunch of con artists. And a cult would be the same way. And even like religious systems, there are plenty of religions where unsavoury illegal activities have happened and have been hidden by the group because they still believe in the greater good of what they're saying, and that what they're saying is true, and they're quite happy. Almost all of them, religions or cults, will take your money as much as you want to give them and think that they're doing the right thing by using it. Whether or not they're putting it into a resource centre or buying a new fancy robe or a golden chalice or a new house for the bishop or whatever it is, not all of it is used for, you know, helping people in need. What's the difference between this and any other form of belief system? They're not Nirab, are they?
They're not Nirab. It is fascinating stuff. It really is.
I just wish that there was more time to really explore this because I do think there's a lot of complicated things that are coming out, and it's hard to know. I think that they're not going very deep with this, but there is a lot of deep stuff happening here, and also Leanne, it wouldn't be completely out of the ordinary or unheard of for her to carry the Institute's teachings with her for the rest of her life and use them to bring comfort and to help her solve problems.
I don't think she will, but you're right. It wouldn't be out of character. It wouldn't be out of the ordinary for any person who's been
found some kind of
a way of dealing with the horrors of life.
Whether that's believing in, you know, a higher power or the power of your own mind. Yeah. I just love this storyline so much, and I just draw so many parallels to it, with like so many different things.
I love it, and I know I see lots of people hating it, but I'm sad that it feels like it's coming to an end now.
Some people might also think that by me drawing parallels to lots of different belief systems, I'm saying that I don't respect them or find, you know, or I'm saying that there's something inherently wrong with all of them. I really don't think so. I genuinely believe that whatever gets you through the day, as long as it's not hurting you, I can't see what the problem is.
Just don't try and con £40,000 out of somebody,
but
please.
Nobody has yet. I know that it's going to turn out. I know it's going to turn out that there isn't a resource centre and it's all a big scam. But at the moment, she's just been asked to invest in something and she's changed her mind.
I'm not sure. See, I wonder.
What do you think, then?
You know, maybe there could be a resource centre. Emery's did say to me, you know, Rowan wants to. He'd quite like to have a base. It'd be so because he believes in the Institute fully, and he thinks that he can.
It's conning. Maybe Willow's conning Rowan as well.
I really think that they've missed a trick by not having Willow appear more.
I know, but if it turns out that there is indeed a resource centre and Amy's invested in it, then the whole institute is not a scam.
Can you imagine Amy in the end rolling in money, going, "Oh, pretty glad that I did it in the end. Thanks, Grandad."
They're doing a really good job on here of skirting Like, I'm not saying that they're not being immoral, being completely immoral, but they're skirting on the edge of, like, legality and, like, okay, well, that's fair game. You know, they haven't actually blackmailed anybody yet. They've just gone, here's a video of you. I know it's the same thing. I know it's the same thing. I know it is. I know. I think I'm going a bit far now, but
we're back on this podcast. We often like to side with the villain, don't we?
No, I like
it
to
can
be
a bit more
contrary.
fun.
I like to be contrary because otherwise this would be a really boring show.
I did think we made it clear earlier that when Amy got this message, it said it was from an unknown number, didn't it? So we were wondering, is it Leanne? I mean, I guess it makes sense for it to be Leanne because Rowan had been saying send it to her, but I don't think at this moment Amy knows that it's her.
It said urgent, listen now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't clear that it was a threat to me. I thought that Leanne had sent it like, oh God, Amy, watch your back.
Yes, I remember you saying that when we were watching it. It could have been a watch out, the Institute have got info on you. And definitely at some point during today's episode or during Wednesday's episode, Leanne dares to delve into places that she shouldn't be delving into. And she starts to see the light and think, well, I'm just going to do a bit of digging into the Institute here. And
well, Amy rushes to Leanne and tells her about this and says, oh my God, what's happening? And...
I've said all that. Yeah.
Watch out, Rowan's going to get you, like he's getting me. And this would have been the point at which, if it was Leanne warning Amy, she would have said, I know, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
But she didn't. She just went, oh.
Yeah, and then she goes back and tries to find a few more files. But yeah, Amy, meanwhile, is going home to tell Mum and Dad that the Institute are coming for her and they're going to sue her. And so she's feeling a little bit on edge about this whole thing. So say, Leanne, what?
Well, she just tells Steve and Tracy about what happened and comes clean about it.
Oh yeah, later in the episode she does. She admits to them about the spiking.
She sort of says, I did get questioned by the police, but I might have not said all the things that I told the Institute, and if they do tell the police, I might actually get in trouble.
It didn't really stick with them for too long because they were just back to bitching at each other, Tracy and Steve, on Friday's episode. Where they're, oh, my daughter's being sued, but who cares?
She's being blackmailed.
You fancy Cassie, don't you, Steve? But yeah, that was a really nice scene, and it's always good to see serious Simon Gregson acting because those kind of moments are few and far between these days. So anyway, Leanne, she's back with Rowan. They're in the hotel because this is why they need a resource centre. They just clearly don't have a base.
But this was a twist to me because she says, we've got to do more. We've got to find more dirt. We've got to send more stuff to Amy. Because I thought she was like either warning Amy or reluctantly being a minion. But she was totally on board with it, going, yeah, we must protect the Institute. Let's get more stuff.
Right, but this is because Rowan's been dripping these ideas into Leanne. He's very skillfully manipulated her into thinking that the Institute must be protected at all costs. And that does make sense if we remember that Leanne 100% believes that the Institute has helped her, which it has in some ways. She's just focusing more on the ways that it has than the way that it's been scamming her.
There aren't very many people in the world who wouldn't try to protect something that they truly believed in a slightly underhand way. Like, if you truly, truly believe that what you're doing is for the greater good, you're going to break a few rules and bend a few rulers.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you not? Like, if you like, maybe I'm just prime for brainwashing or something. But you know, if I saw £5 on the floor and I had to, the what's it called? The plates coming round at church, I might put it in there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's bending a few rules for Jesus.
So
I can't think of an analogy.
That's all right.
And also,
fine.
I think it might be too incriminating to get into detail.
People are going to be, putting a £5 note on the floor attached to a long thread.
It's actually...
You'd be chasing it along.
Did you know it's actually theft to take? If you find money on the floor and you keep it, it's theft.
Well, yeah, you hand it into the police, don't you?
Do
Swain's party. Fund, yeah.
But even if it's not a belief system, like a family member, a loved one, a child, if there's nothing in your life that you would do something naughty for, then I think you're either really, 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 really good person, or you just don't have anything nice.
Oh my god.
What do you think?
No, I think you're right.
There are lots of things.
Everyone will take some sort of risks for what they think is the greater good.
Something really, really important to you, and this is really important and this is why you need to check yourself, don't you think? Before you do something naughty, you need to really think, is this an evil cult that I'm doing it for, or is it something good? That's my advice.
There's the advice for the day. Gemma, tip.
Before you do a crime, think, is this for a cult? And if it is, don't do it.
Could it be maybe seen as one by someone?
And also,
Toyah has even called it a cult.
I always get in trouble with like what is illegal and what isn't, because I have a strange sense of like when I was
don't incriminate yourself.
I haven't done a crime, and I'm not in a cult.
Right, look, Leanne, yeah, so she's snooping on the laptop. This bit, we had a little bit of contrivance, didn't we, where Rowan was called away by the hotel lady saying, oh, you need to go.
What was the problem with his room?
Who knows what's happened up in his room.
Has he been seen since?
Yes, of course he has, because he's had the scene with Leanne.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
I want to know what the problem was. Do you think he did a wee on the floor, or like left a red wine stain on a mattress?
I just think he's been stealing towels.
He's been putting outside Coke cans in the minibar.
Yeah, anything along those lines.
He's been eating cashew nuts and leaving crumbs everywhere.
Look, we got...
Sorry.
We got... This leaves Leanne the opportunity to sit there alone with a laptop, and she finds these files. And I always love a good computer scene on Coronation Street, because they can't use any operating system there's no Mac OS or Linux or Windows here. It's the one that Corrie people have cobbled together. And yeah, it was... She starts to see these red folders. What are you pointing at the screen
I'm just saying, this is when, again, it was twisted, because I thought, Leanne's warning Amy. No, Leanne's in on it. Leanne's getting more dirt. No, Leanne hates what they're doing to Amy, and she's trying to help her, because she only starts looking and snooping because she starts to delete Amy's folders.
Yeah,
I was whiplashed the whole episode.
I was a little bit confused about her motivations here, but there were 4 folders called Amy, wasn't there? There was Amy 1, 2, 3 and 4, and she deletes the first 2, but 3 and 4 I think still stay on there, so there's still a little bit of individually deleting the folders, because in this operating system you can't just drag around them.
This has got shades of the silly arrest, well, the information that Swain was working on that was in that bumper that had a load of information about Lauren's disappearance that turned out to be completely wrong.
Oh yeah.
So this is like, don't be like, really pay attention to the props here, because you've left 2 folders. Did you mean to do that, or did you forget?
It was funny because I was looking at the pit. We paused it, didn't we? And there was a Paul folder, assuming that Paul hasn't joined the cult. And that time in the bath scene where he says, "Me and Dee-Dee have been going to church and they baptised me." He's not actually took a wrong turning and ended up in the Institute somehow. There was a Danny there. So is that Danny Baldwin, or is it Danny James's mate? Because there was a James there. So was that James Bailey? This goes deeper. That's all I'm saying. But she finds. She deletes some files, but then she right clicks one, and then you see this message pop up saying "message sent."
Yeah.
So has she? It was
on the resource centre folder. So she sent.
Has she sent herself?
She's deleted the Amy folders. She sent the resource centre folder to someone. I hope that she knows where she sent it, and I hope that she meant to send it.
That didn't seem to be an option, did it? It's just like right click and send, and then a message saying it's sent. It's sent somewhere into the ether.
But Leanne was also like peering at the screen and like looking at her mouse and like laboriously clicking things like an 80-year-old woman.
Considering all of the techno jargon that she has to
do you think all this time she's been like,
to be in the
uploads, downloads, viruses, wow, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. She probably didn't even know it was about computers. when Toyah's like, this is all techno babble, she's like, yeah, techno, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, we used to love that when we were kids, didn't we? No, not that sort of techno.
Look, so she's possibly sent a resource folder to herself or someone. I think that's a bit of a type in the swimming pool moment. Keep an eye on that. It might come up to be some evidence against Rowan in the end. But then she sees the Leanne folder, and you pointed out that there were 4 folders for Amy but only 2 for Leanne, which I just think that the filing system was shocking anyway, because why have 4 Amy folders and not just one Amy folder with some subfolders inside?
I know, it was so enraging.
It's not even that Rowan is our generation, isn't he? He's not one of these Gen Zers who doesn't know how to use a desktop computer. He should understand how to organise files.
Sitting there with a laptop, like pecking at
pushing
the screen
because he thinks it's a touch screen. Anyway, look, we've spent far too long on this scene, but
it's great.
and completely ignored the big reveal that comes in at the end.
This was
both
great.
of us. We were like, she's gonna find something. She's gonna find something.
She finds this
Leanne folder. Yeah, so she's found the Leanne folder. She hasn't, and then later on, we see her leaving this message for Toyah on her phone. She's got a phone up to her hand and saying, Toyah, you were right all along. The Institute have got files on all of us. I suppose I guess that's what made her change her mind, isn't it? So she started, when she was sending the Amy folders, she was doing it for the good of the Institute. So she thought she did it because Rowan was kind of encouraging her that might be quite a good idea to do that. She wasn't snooping to try and find dirt on the Institute, but as soon as she saw those files, she realised. Again, I don't particularly get how she didn't see those files earlier, because surely she had to open the main file to see the Amy file, and might have glanced her eyes down 3 rows of files to see that there's a Leanne one. But again, we don't nitpick. Her curiosity gets the better of her, and she goes inside the Leanne folder. I can't remember whether
she's on the phone. She's going, oh my God, I've seen all these files. I'm deleting them. You were right. I'm just deleting all of these uploads, and I found a folder of images. I'm just going to look in the image folder. Hang on a minute. Double click. Open. Okay, it's loading up. There's this file that says Nick and Toyah on it. I'm going to delete it. But wait.
That was good, wasn't it?
That was so good.
And I was thinking, is she going to delete it? Because if she had deleted that, if she hadn't let the curiosity get to the better of her, that would have been the evidence gone. I mean, obviously, presumably there are backups of the files. I mean, there was the phone that the photo was taken on.
Well, there's a recycling bin that's full of all the things that she thinks she's deleted.
Yeah, let's forget about that. But I was thinking, she's going to delete it, and then Rowan's not going to have any blackmail that he can hold over anybody. And I really love Dane Jansen has been magnificent all week, absolutely superb. But I loved the reaction to when she sees the picture. This it's like she's a bit of throw up in her mouth, isn't it? It's like oh my gosh, because she has seen this picture of Nick and Toyah kissing at the window, and then she rushes off. Go on.
I was just going to say, what would your reaction be, though, if you're her and you're like, what is this? There's an image file, and I'll just delete. You wouldn't ever just go, I'll just delete it because no good can come of this.
I'd say maybe I'm just going to click it and see if a preview pops up in the sidebar.
But
just have a little look.
Like, she had no idea.
Well, so I think she says to Toyah, I think this is something that they've maybe got against. She wouldn't have had a clue, would she? But yeah, I think anybody would have wanted to have a little sneaky look, even though she didn't know how much time she had left before Rowan came back.
I think there was no time for her to think, what is this?
No. So
it's such a great soap moment, though, to have a character confronted with this image file that you can't tell what it is, and it's like, this, if you don't open this now, it's what's going to eat you alive. But if you open it, it could ruin your life.
And it has.
Oh, man. What a great moment for a soap.
It's interesting that they didn't at all even attempt to go down it's a deep fake, it's an AI picture, that's not us kissing. Rowan got a flipping generated AI Ollie. Surely you can... They didn't go down there, and I think that probably would have dragged it out a bit longer than it needed to.
It came out, really.
Yeah. What I want to know is how she got that picture to pin it up in the bistro on Friday, because she did not save that picture. She didn't send that to herself. She saw it and ran right out again. Well, but somehow on Friday... somehow on Friday she had the picture there. I don't know. Anyway, no nitpicking. Toyah. The scene with Toyah in the precinct. She's just going, la, la, la. She just had a bit of a sweetie nuff or something, probably. And then she gets this message, this voice recording from Leanne. Hearing it.
It was kind
of the last thing she hears is, there's a file here with your name on it. I'm just going to have a look. And Toya's like... Bloody hell.
Like the beginning of a horror movie, like, I'm just inside this spooky cave and there's a coffin in front of me and it says, do not open, Dracula inside. What does that mean? I'm just going to nudge it and see what...
Well, I think actually Didn't the message end with, I think I'm going to delete it, or I don't know whether to open it? It wasn't clear.
Well, we know
To Toyah that she had opened it, but she realised she's literally got the evidence and she's saying she's deleting it, but maybe she isn't. So Toyah is like, uh-oh.
Look, Toyah went from heaven to hell in that very short space of time, because the first thing she heard was, you were right all along. And the last thing she heard was, I've uncovered your secret. Great scene.
So, party at the bistro. This is Max's
Another
18th.
Great scene.
This was fun. I mean, we've seen...
disaster.
I'm feeling that, they're a little bit by the numbers, these Platt scenes now, isn't it? We know what's going to happen. So they're going to have an argument about something. Someone's going to make a sarky comment. There's going to be people that are embarrassed.
Audrey's going to go, oh, God.
Yeah, exactly. Audrey's going to roll her eyes at something. Gail's going to say something
furiously
daft.
flink.
Yeah, but Max has got... I felt, again... Poor Max can't see his friends on his birthday, and the sum of his 18th birthday presents amount to a cushion with some records on, and what else did he have?
He got a
Polaroid camera. I'm sorry, who wants that?
Who at Argos keeps telling Corrie to push this, because Summer had this.
Oh yeah, she had a Polaroid camera as well.
It just caused chaos.
Did she get it for her 18th birthday?
Probably.
Special offer.
I think Connie and what's his face?
Connie and Trevor.
Trevor send every character that comes of age a Polaroid camera.
Yes, well, we all know what problems Polaroid cameras can get up to. They did for Summer, didn't they? Leaving that picture on the floor of the church. But yeah,
so brought down the entire
poor old Max is there with his
Church of England.
I know. Poor old Max is there with his cushion and his prosecco and his camera, and then David takes Nick out to the back and saying, "Look, we nearly walked in on you and Toyah at it earlier. You bloody be careful." Then they go back into the main bit of the bistro, do the happy birthday song. Right in the middle, Leanne clops in and she's like, I know everything. I don't know everything because I'm going to ask you a load of questions. When did it start? How long have you been doing it? What's been going on here? Where have you been doing it?
And Nick just gives up.
I know, he didn't even try. Well, Nick
What do you mean?
Nick is in love with Toyah, and he has been thinking about ending it with Leanne, hasn't he? He's been saying, look, I'll quietly end it with her, and then after a little while we'll pretend that we've only just got together. So in a way it was, ripping the plaster off before he had a chance to.
It was Toyah that was saying, no, I couldn't do that to my sister. And he's like, oh, well, she's a bit annoying, isn't she? And I was like, what do you mean? And Nick's like, nothing, no, nothing.
And he does his Nick face, doesn't he? Thanks to everybody who liked the tweet that Gemma put out on this. That was got nearly 600 likes on that picture of Nick doing a squint face in the bistro. Cheers very much. Anyway, Max is there thinking this is hilarious. I did wonder whether... It was funny that he found it funny, but I don't know what Max
did seem to be very, emotionally distant from the chaos.
It's like, this is massive. And I think I would say that Max has a little bit more maturity than to just snigger at it. But I suppose we saw different reactions from everyone. He was finding it hilarious. Shona was shocked. Well, Shona was mad. Gail was shocked, I think. Audrey was like, oh, I can't believe this. Lily just had her head in her hand. That's right, Lily made a rare appearance as well as Gail.
When she turns 18, I know I'm on.
And you know what? Lily didn't even mention football. She went through a whole episode.
Are you sure?
I thought it was in her contract. The same way that when Alex appears in an episode, he's got to say, I've just been on a bender. Exactly. Yeah. Lily, all her lines revolve around football, but this has just proved that she has got range. She can mention it and not mention it. What a talent. I'm not dissing the actors at all.
No.
Sorry. It's just they clearly don't know what to do with Lily apart from saying that she likes football.
Not a lot to do with her at the moment.
There's not. She's still a little young. Isn't she? I don't know how young she is. Anyway,
she's not 18. I know
beside the point. Nick said, "Yeah, I love her." It started after Rose's funeral.
As well. Gail was disgusted with Nick.
Yeah, and Nick actually admits to Toyah that he loves her.
Well, that's right.
This was, me and you were just like, is this really happening? This was, if you imagine I don't know, because not everybody likes the Institute storyline, but this was just how I felt, and probably even better than the big Dee-Dee and Joe reveal a couple of weeks, Joel reveal, sorry, because this is the story that I've been even more invested in up until now. This is the big climax.
Well, yeah. So when she finds out that Nick says, I love Toyah, she leaves.
Leanne clops out. Toyah wanders in
It's
later.
like, oh my God, watch out, she knows.
Yeah, and she's like,
yeah.
oh, she knows. Yeah, so that everybody else leaves with Nick and Toyah still there in the bistro, and she's like, you told her that you love me. You've made this 100 times worth, Nick, you plank. All I care about now is my sister. I've got to find her. And this was the beginning of the faint hope that I had that it was going to end the way that it seems to have ended this week, which is still Batters being united. And that's all I've wanted from this storyline. From the moment that she started fluttering her eyelashes at Nick, all I want is back to Batters be united. And I can't, I said again in the short today, I can't let myself believe that this is where it's going to end up with the sisters united against Nick, because I'll have to say when we get there, but this was making all the right noises to me.
So Leanne's gone off, she's in the flat, she's looking at a picture of her and Nick,
Smashes it to the floor, knock on the door, it's Rowan.
This is the scene.
This is the scene that Gemma thought was a bit iffy. But anyway, it was very well performed. But yeah, you said this.
Well, no, it just felt like there were some takes that they didn't mean to put in there.
Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, she's fuming at him because she has taken... What she's taken from this is that all of the... kind of
private sessions,
and all the scheming and the trickery, all is him. And I don't think it's this scene that she says it. I think it's when she goes over to number 1 later, when she's saying, I still believe in the Institute. Rowan's the bad egg. He's the one that's taking advantage of the opportunities that the Institute provides to gain extra cash for himself. So she's at this point absolutely livid at him. Why did you have the picture? Why did you have those files? You even had my upload sessions recorded. And he's like, I'm sorry. I just, there was just insurance. He's like, insurance for what? What the hell are you talking about? I felt so bad for Leanne. And I feel like I'm, on my own here, waving the Team Leanne flag, and everyone's like, she deserved this. I don't think she did. She's been totally taken advantage of from this whole story. I'm seeing people saying, oh, she's scamming Amy. She thinks she's doing it for good. She doesn't think she's scamming Amy. And this is like, the scales falling from her eyes and having something that, this is the crisis of faith, I guess, that we see in the true religious storylines, for lack of a better term. When a religious character appears on Coronation Street, it's the ticking time clock down until when are they going to have a crisis of faith. Like, Dee-Dee's going to have a crisis of faith at some point because they've said she's religious. So yeah, but I suppose the difference is with the crisis of faith storylines, it's because something really, really nasty has happened to them, and they say, why did God let this happen? This is the equivalent of Jesus walking into Dee-Dee and says, I'm not real, really, or or something along those lines. And Leanne's whole world is falling apart. It's like, she's mad.
Go, I'm not real, and you'd be like, Jesus, come on, you're just joking with me, aren't you?
I'm just a bloke.
How are you saying that if you're not real?
Anyway, she's like, I've lost everything I could possibly lose. Get out. What you have done is loads worse than what Nick and Toyah did, which was a bit of an interesting take. And she's determined to get back Amy's money for her.
If you think about it from her perspective, that she thinks that Rowan's the lone problem with the Institute, she feels that what he's done is betray the Institute and her. Like, he's corrupted something really pure and special.
Yeah.
And so he's betraying a belief system, whereas Toyah and Nick have just betrayed one person, I guess. But again, I think it's deflection because he's in front of her and everyone else isn't. So, of course, he's the worst. And because he's the only one there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So after that, this is when it kind of slows down a little bit. She goes over to Amy's house and says, "Look, I deleted your files. Okay, you were right all along. I don't know whether I'm going to get all your money back, but maybe you could speak to Adam, get a witness statement." So she's already kind of thinking about how me and you, Amy, can team up to take down Rowan. And Amy's like, "Sod off, no." Get out of my house because of you, and you're a victim here, I know, but because of what you've done, there's now a threat of a prison hanging over me because of what I've been saying against the Institute. So on your bite, Leanne, jog on. maybe that was a bad thing. So then we get the final scene of this story
lots
in the
of
episode.
people,
Big old slap from Leanne to Toyah, just innocently walking along the street.
Well, she's like, oh, sorry.
Sorry, Leanne. Whack. Love
Slap
it.
round the face.
Love it. And, I love Toyah. Toyah's my girl, but she did deserve that. I'm not going to lie. I was like, yeah.
Oh.
Hope that slapped a bit of sense into you, my girl. Now drop that, Nick.
Wow.
And this is what?
She didn't slap Nick.
She didn't slap Nick.
No.
Probably just kneed him in the balls when the cameras weren't rolling.
What's she slapping Toyah for?
What do you mean was she slapping Toyah for?
Slap both of them.
Well, Toyah just happened to be at hand.
Equal opportunities.
This is where Shona was there a little bit, wasn't she? She
gives her a
episode ends with Leanne having a cry in Shona's arms.
I like that.
Yeah. So I was very keen to find out what happened.
Are they
on Friday.
sisters-in-law?
Well, yeah, they're in the family, aren't they?
Everyone's related to everyone.
They're both dating
a man.
They're both dating a man.
A plat man.
A plat man, even though David and Nick are only half brothers.
They're half.
Because one's Brian's and one Martin's.
Are they half stepsisters-in-law?
Doesn't matter. So Friday.
Well, they were united in both not liking Toyah.
Yes, exactly. There's a question on Friday about when and how Sam's going to find out, and Nick gets a bit worried when Shona suggests on Friday morning that maybe Lily's going to blab to him because she goes, they come home from school together. Oh yeah, that was the other thing that I thought was weird. Wednesday, Lily saying, I don't need to go into school because it's an inset. And this is the first week of term.
Okay, now we are nitpicking.
Like, did she go into school on Monday and Tuesday and then there was a Wednesday inset? Because that didn't happen. That'd be a bit weird. Or did she not start term until Thursday? In which case, why didn't Max know that?
Okay.
But never mind. So, Leanne comes into the cafe later. She spent the night at a hotel. Oh, I wonder which one. And Shona says, look, you've done nothing wrong. You should be plotting revenge. You shouldn't be staying in a hotel licking your wounds. You need to get even with Nick. And so she does. She's working away in the bistro later. There's a little side story played over about 2 scenes where Brian's giving Rita a performance review. I think it's getting Barbara Knox and Peter Gunn's episode counts up for the year. It was pretty funny, I suppose. Oh, this is reminding me, you haven't seen this, have you? Did you see the post about Brian's house on Twitter?
No. No, what?
Well, we say that we never see inside Brian and Kathy's flat. So Chris Anstey, I think it was, put on a tweet earlier about how it's been so long since Brian, number 12 Coronation Street, has appeared. We've even seen Kirk and Beth's flat since, right? But that's not what I thought was the most amazing, because I did a little bit of digging to find out when number 12 was last on Coronation Street. And
this is Brian's flat.
Brian's flat. When did it last appear on Coronation Street? So, Gemma.
Yes.
I put this to you. Which episode of Conversation Street were we recording when Brian's flat last appeared? So that dates it a bit. It was in the last 12 and a bit years.
Right, so which episode of this podcast were we recording when we last saw Brian's flat?
And now we are on episode 644.
Right, 644. I reckon it was a while ago.
Yes.
So there's there's 52 episodes in a year.
Yeah. So
I reckon it's probably probably 3 years ago. So I say 500.
No, further back than that. 6. Episode 6 of the podcast was when.
Episode 6.
That was when we last saw Brian's flat.
I think they might have broken it down.
I think we maybe cursed Brian's flat. I don't know. So maybe
Brian.
about time we looked in there. What's he got going in there? Drugs den.
Probably killing women.
What? Why did you go straight to that?
He's probably a serial killer.
Do you reckon he's in on it with Nathan or with...
No, he's doing his own thing.
Just the mild-mannered news agent. Yeah, maybe.
He probably kills him with a newspaper.
That's not important. Speaking of papers...
Yeah.
Just trying to segue back into what happens here. Nick comes into the bistro. Leanne's got a big sheet over the wall, which she then tears down, and all these pictures of Nick and Toyah having a snog are plastered over the wall. So this is her publicly announcing it. Although there are probably only about 4 people in the bistro. But now everybody in Weatherfield knows. And what a shameful situation this is.
Think before you print.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit wasteful,
She's wasted so much ink. How much is printer ink?
Well, it's paper and ink, because it was colour prints, wasn't it?
I think if
could have just done one colour one, the rest in black and white. People would have got the message.
I think that if you collect them all together, you make a flip book of them, like blah 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 blah.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. Do you remember when we were young? You used to be able to go on this website and make pixel art.
When we were young, you didn't have a website. How young were we?
When we were in uni.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember there was that website and you could make pixel art of like it wasn't pixel art, it was those dots. It was like a comic art where it would be like a silhouette of an image, and you can make it.
I've got no idea what you're talking about.
She could have done
Sounds
that.
good though. Anyway, so Nick has now been publicly shamed in front of about 4 people, and he starts ripping the papers down and saying the bistro's closed, everyone, free food. David
He's like, what food? I didn't get any food.
Yeah, Rita didn't even get her food. David comes in and is like, oh, is this a bad time to book a table? Classic David quip. And then basically, all the characters who happen to be involved in this happen to bumble into the bistro over the course of the next couple of scenes, including Toyah, who's looking very sheepish, and she tries to talk to her, but Leanne says, look, just go away, you're sacked, don't want to speak to you. And Nick's trying to find out what he can do or say to Leanne to make it better, and she's like, you are totally deluded if you think there's anything that we can save here. You are 100%
Get bent,
done.
Buster.
Yeah. So, later on...
Great scene.
This is, this was kind of small fry revenge from Leanne. It was more like revenge in the actions, but I just loved the dialogue and the smiles and the snark and the sarkiness and everything that we got from Leanne in the second half of the episode.
She's sitting in her flat drinking wine as Nick tries to get into the locks, but she's had the locks changed and she just does this like little smug grin like...
Well, I love that they kept the camera on her, but we heard Nick trying to get in, but they didn't cut to showing it. It was just seeing this big grinchy smile appear on her face as she hears him trying to get in and realise that he can't. She's absolutely loving this.
This was not
trying to get some pleasure out of this horrible situation she's found herself in.
This was not quite retro Battersby, but she had a little bit of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is probably the most
closest she's been for a long time.
Yeah, the most kind of vile and chavvy and street Leanne. She wasn't
being vile and chavvy. She was being vengeful.
Yeah, I guess so. But it definitely reminded me of old Leanne a little bit.
Snogging her sister.
Okay, maybe you're right. So she eventually lets him in. They get into a massive argument, and he says, "Look, I only came round to tell you could have the flat." And she's like, "Oh, thank you so much."
Yeah, she was being such a sarcastic bitch.
And that made me think of like 90s and noughties Leanne.
Oh, thanks.
Brilliant. And so he says, like, I've taken full responsibility for what happened between me and Toyah. And he goes to leave, and she's like, no, I want to know, why did you do this? He says, well, look, to be fair, I have been worrying about our relationship long before Rowan came along. When did we ever actually get on? And this was where everyone else in the audience, who's not on my side, is going, yeah, they are terrible for each other. But I think that we all see what we want to see. We all see what we want to see, and I say that they
with each other since they were.
It reminded me a little bit of when Viz and Tyrone had that split up chat, and apparently behind the scenes they've not been getting on. Same with Tracy and Steve when earlier this year apparently they've not been getting on, but we've not seen any of it. Everyone on Coronation Street argues to some extent. I've not seen a level that before Rowan came along, enough deterioration in their relationship to say that the writing would have been on the wall, institute or no institute. Sorry, I think that they're pretty good with each other.
Well, no, they did have that wobble over getting married, and before then they had Ollie.
Yeah, I suppose.
Ollie was a very challenging time.
I still think that it was feels a bit manufactured. Okay. But anyway, so he says, look, I don't even know who you are anymore. You've been pushing me away for months. And she says, look, I've been running away from you. She kind of turns it on him a little bit and says, oh, your suits and your... Does she say, like, you look down on people? I can't remember.
Of course he does.
And she says, but despite all that and the fact that I'm doing this now...
He literally looks down on everybody.
Not as much as that kid does.
No.
She says that I've still I've never stopped loving you, and I still love you. And she's crying away here, and he can't handle this. He's like, I need to pick up Sam
I
from
felt
chess.
so sad for her because she kind of put herself right on the line there, didn't she? Like, she's kind of saying, like, tell me you don't, we can fix this. She didn't say that, but she's saying, I still love you, and he's like, but we're not, we're too separate, we're too apart from one another.
And it must eat at her to be being so horrible to him and tricking him and shaming him publicly and calling him all this when she really does still love him as well.
Well, he says, I've got to go, baby.
Yeah, got to pick up Sam. And a couple of scenes later, and they're back. So Leanne sits them all down around the table, and Sam can see that something's up. And it's just
this was quite interesting because Nick's trying to say, right, we're separating, and Leanne tries to sugarcoat it and says, just drifted apart, nothing's happened. Nick says, no, that's not true. I've got feelings for Toyah, and Sam says, well, does she feel the same way? And Nick says yes. And Leanne's like, I can't believe you're telling him this. What are you telling him for?
Oh yeah, Leanne just wanted the ground to open up underneath her during this, didn't she?
How embarrassing.
Yeah. And then I would have liked to have seen a little bit more reaction from Sam, and maybe it wouldn't have been in his character, but I know that Jude could have done it. It felt like they didn't want to show a whole lot about what does he think.
Well, even
later on, he excuses himself to his bedroom, doesn't he?
Because Toyah comes and he's like, I'm going.
Yeah.
But can I just interrupt this here, because I thought this whole thing was baffling, because this is clearly another day.
What do you mean?
Is this not the next day?
This is the same day. He's just gone to...
No, from Wednesday. Friday is another day.
Oh, yeah.
So Leanne's been in the flat and Toyah and Nick have gone. Where the hell was Sam?
No,
Exactly. And now
Leanne's been in the hotel, hasn't she?
Oh, Leanne was in the hotel. Yeah, that's right. But then Nick's saying to her, you have the flat and you live with Sam, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then Leanne's like, no, you have the flat. Like, hang on a minute. Nick, you can't just pawn your kid off on other people. What are you doing?
Well, Leanne does have history of taking their partner's sons, even though the partner maybe just lives across the road.
I'll just collect all the children.
Simon's gone, I'll have Sam as a replacement.
But you know what I mean? Like, what an awful father. What does he think he's doing?
No, he doesn't. He's saying you can have him until I can find somewhere else to live. He doesn't make any...
But
he doesn't say
you don't do that, though. You don't leave your child with somebody else, because I know that Leanne gets on with Sam, and she was being very sweet to him, and she cared about him, and she was making sure that he was all right. But there was that bit where she was saying, I can't love this child because I've lost my child and he's not a replacement. And I totally... she's completely... within her rights to have those feelings. I don't know what's changed since then. Obviously,
I think a lot's changed since then.
But it's still not her child. And he didn't go, is it all right if Sam, you look up... Like, it's not like it's no biggie to have a child living with you. You don't just go, look, you look after my kid, I'll just go. Like, no, you have to say, is it all right if you look after... Will you do me this favour? Sam, do you mind? You ask them both. You don't just go, you stay here, I'm going with my fancy woman.
No, I think it's fine. I think that they'd be close enough as a family for him to assume that it goes without saying that she's going to be happy for Sam to stay there, and Sam doesn't want uprooting and being dragged from pillar to post.
So Leanne goes, sorry, but the child comes first here. Sam's not done anything wrong. Why is Sam having to have...
But Leanne doesn't go because she's not done anything wrong.
Well, she joined a cult.
Apart from joining a cult.
But I don't understand why they were being so like, yeah, Sam and Leanne can live here now.
Anyway, that kind of...
I just thought that was weird.
As I say, Sam excuses himself later because Toyah comes to the door.
Leanne's not having it.
Yeah, and Nick's not... Is Nick here at this point? I don't think... No, Nick's not, because... this is when we get the scene where Leanne kind of says... She agrees that the Institute are a little bit dodgy because they were the ones that said about Toyah's... about Rose's funeral or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, Toyah says... I don't want this to make you go more into the Institute than you already have. That's my main problem. And And then Leanne acknowledges that the Institute has really hurt Toyah and she's really sorry about it. And she says, right, I'm going.
And Leanne's like, you're going nowhere. I've already lost my fella, but I'm not losing my sister as well. I hate your guts, but you're going nowhere.
That was great and was so well performed by Jane Danson. She's sitting on the sofa and just kind of like barely able to keep her face from crumpling with emotion, saying, I've made my choice here. And I just love the unspoken knowledge, even though Toya's gone behind her back, slept with her husband, boyfriend, I think they're boyfriend, she still knows that if she really made Toyah pick, which she is here, Toyah would pick her.
Yeah.
And she doesn't even have to ask
This
her.
is a true sisters before misters moment.
That unspoken choice that Toyah wasn't a choice for her, because she's like, yep, Nick who?
Do you think that part of it is also Leanne trying to stop, knowing that if Toyah sticks with her, then it's got to spell the end for Toyah and Nick? Is it just a way of trying to come between them?
I don't think it's that vindictive. I think she's just like, I need you. You can't leave me.
Yeah, Leanne knows that if she lets Toyah and Nick, win, in inverted commas, she's going to be left on her own, and she doesn't want that. But I think it's all part of everything. But okay. I think chiefly it is, we're sisters and we stay together. And she's known from, during Toyah's illness, what it was like to distance herself from Toyah, and it ate her up. And she doesn't want to go back to that. She needs her in her life, despite what she's done, and it's not going to be easy. And I don't know how you can reason with yourself to try and make it work. And it's going to be interesting if we see it in the next few weeks, because it could well be this story's being parked for a little bit. But it should be incredibly difficult for Leanne to forgive her and have Toyah under her roof and just have breakfast with her, knowing what she's done with Nick and what she wants to do with Nick. Because just because I'm Leanne and I'm saying, Toyah, you can come and live with me, I'll forgive you, it doesn't mean that Toyah is going to stop loving Nick, does it? And this is what we see in the next scene. There's Nick finds...
I think she's just going to she's like, Toyah, you stay here and you can look after Sam. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, so in the next scene, Toyah's putting the bins out and Nick finds her and says, Sam knows. And she's like, what, you told him already? And he says, it cleared the path for me and you. And she's really kind of squirming here because she's already made the decision that she is going to sister before mister it. And she says, look, I can't do any of it. I love you, but I love Leanne more. I'm sorry. And she goes inside and Nick's left on the street. And I'm like, what? Yes, hooray.
But
she made the right decision, girl.
I don't know if
this is the end, I am so happy.
I think you're in the minority.
I know I'm in the minority.
I think a lot of people are going to be mad about this development, because there are loads of people that don't like Leanne anyway. There are loads of people that were saying that Toyah and Nick are a better couple. There are lots of people who are probably thinking a little bit along my lines of, well, what the hell was all that about for then? Why would you already did make your decision, Toyah, and you did sleep with your sister's boyfriend. Not just a boyfriend, like a long-term partner. They've been married and unmarried since they were kids.
And they there was almost getting engaged again earlier this year. Or did they get engaged? I can't remember.
They have a house together. They've got a family.
Yeah.
They've got history.
Toyah's behaviour has been completely unacceptable. But I have got I've got everlasting forgiveness for her because she's one of my faves, and I'm happy for it to go down this way. But again, I would hope, I guess, narratively, that we do see it eating Toyah up a little bit, because we could see it was difficult for her with Nick out when she was doing the bins, and she can't just turn off those feelings of love. She can't. Think how guilty she must be feeling now, and she's going to probably be wanting to grovel to Leanne, but Leanne wouldn't want to be grovelled to. She's just going to say, look, let's just be normal. But she knows that it can't just be normal. These two sisters probably know they're just a snap away from tearing each other's hair out, but they've got to make it work because their team matters be.
Why was Leanne so fast to forgive Toyah and make that decision Is it because she's just so broken from the Institute stuff?
Yeah,
I don't think she would.
She's also she might be thinking about after Ollie died and she went into hermit mode. Do you remember? And she's thinking, I need to save myself from that.
I can't do that again.
I think this is brilliant. But I know I said I'm in the minority, but I also do think that people generally like the idea of Toyah and Leanne as a team.
Yeah.
And does that trump Toyah and Nick, this dream couple that everybody's been shipping over the summer? I don't know. It remains to be seen. I've not looked online to see what people's reactions to this have been. It is really
funny though that Corey's like gone, oh, love triangle. Oh, who will Nick end up with? And then it's like, neither of them. They picked each other.
So we were wondering, who goes with who next? It was the same with the Kirk and Beth story last week, which I don't think we've heard anything from this week, have we? What's next for Kirk? What's next for Nick here? Does he try and get back with Leanne? Because I don't think he's 100% fallen out with Leanne. It could still be that he goes with her, and if she's willing to let Toyah back into her life, which should really be completely off the table, maybe she could let Nick back into her life, or does he find love somewhere else? I say I'm happy with how this is, but I'm not really, because what I want is for this to go back to how it was at the beginning of the year, when Nick and Leanne, in my head, were a pretty happy couple, and Toyah was a bit of a third wheel, really, but they were all a bit of a team together, and I can't see how it would make narrative sense for them to go back that way. I mean, do you think there's going to be a point where Leanne forgives Toyah so much that she ends up saying, look, I can see that you've still got these feelings for Nick. I'm not going to stop you. I'm going to show you what a great sister I am by letting you bed my ex.
Ugh.
I know it's a bit that in some ways could also be a happy ending, but then it's not happy for Leanne. We're not completely finished with this. Obviously, there's still Rowan lingering in the background. The Institute has not been taken down yet. But yeah, I loved it. And as I say, going into this week, I had no clue that we would be sitting here talking about Leanne finding out about the affair this week. So, is what I say to that.
Well, I always just fret about the living arrangements because Sam and Nick are going to have to move somewhere else.
Yes.
Where?
They'll be somewhere.
Brian's flat's free.
Well, there's probably going to be a spare place in Paul and Billy's flat soon as well. Right, the Deering Hunter. The other big story of this week, Swain versus Joel. And I do apologise, my notes for this are very mixed up. I started putting the stuff that's with Betsy that's not related to Joel in a different story, and then I realised it is kind of mixed. So I know you're the main synopsisizer of this one, so you'll figure it out. You're a smart lady. Do you want to remind us what's been going on with Joel and Dee-Dee and Swain and Betsy and co this week? And Carla.
Thank you for presenting the introduction of my section.
Go.
On Monday, Joel comes to the hospital, Dee-Dee and Lauren are there, and he says, I'm going to apply to get custody of Frankie so he can be with me full time. I love him and I want him to be safe. And Lauren is an unfit mother. Bye. Yeah,
he's just kind of screwing with them, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's just he knows that he's trying to get back at Lauren for what she's done. I want to know what his plan is for Frankie if he does get hold of him. He's like, oh no, what do I do now? I don't really want this baby.
Put him in the bread bin.
Yeah, that's what you do.
It's a really nice baby-sized cupboard, isn't it?
Mm.
You know how they always, like, in the old days, you'd be like, oh, the children sleep in drawers. The baby goes in the bread bin.
Empire, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, so Lauren turns on Dee-Dee and says, well, Joel's only doing this because you've got in touch with Emily. And Dee-Dee says, actually, don't talk to me like that because you're the reason this happened because you slept with my fiancé.
Yeah, there's a bit
of tension.
They're all turning against each other, the team good.
The goodies.
Yes.
So Dee-Dee goes to the station to see Swain and says, oh, this new set's nice. And Swain says, yes, I'm a regular character. I don't know if anyone told you, but I don't have nowhere to live, but I do have a set for work.
You've been banging on to me about off air all week, haven't you, about wanting to see Chateau Swain.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do. So Swain says, Do you know any colleagues from Joel that you could get dirt from? I can't do it because the case is closed. Like I've got a stamp and I've done a red thing on it. Case closed. But you could, Dee-Dee. So Dee-Dee goes to Walcott Associates, which is another news set.
Yeah, this was I think part of it
used to work.
Yeah, part of it was filmed in the Coronation Street Experience building.
Just a
I think you see the view outside, but yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, you could see the cars on what is it called?
Trafford Walk Road. Yeah.
So she says, right, tell me about Joel. Joel's got arrested.
Mr. Walcott, the boss.
Mr. Walcott, what? He's been arrested for being a naughty boy. Was he naughty when he worked for you? So they go into the office and they have a nice discreet conversation, and it turns out that Joel had an affair when he was working there, and he also worked with vulnerable clients. And this guy's like, look, I can't tell you whether this affair was with one of those clients or not because it's
GDPR, isn't it?
It's DDPR. And so Dee-Dee leaves and he calls someone to say Dee-Dee's been there asking awkward questions. So Joel comes round, again, no lock on the lawyer's office, no buzzer, nothing. He just walks in. Dee-Dee's there again, alone. She confronts him and says, look, I know what you've been up to. You're having an affair with a vulnerable girl at your old place of work. And he says, no, I had an affair with someone else, actually. And you better back off or I'm going to have a word with Swain about what I know about Ed and Ronnie's insider trading. And Dee-Dee's like, oh God, that story
Forgot you
again.
knew about that.
Oh God, I didn't like that story. Can you not talk about it anymore?
This is reminding me of the Amy and the spiking, and was that always the plan that it would be part of the Institute story? Was Joel finding out about the insider trading always going to be? I suppose it was, because Joel was clearly dodgy back when this insider trading story was going on, wasn't it? But I'd forgotten that he had this dirt on her family, so this was quite cool that it was brought up again.
I know, but there's only so much blackmail that I can stomach.
Oh, I know. I'm totally fed up with blackmail. I'm not really relishing a return to the insider trading story, because it feels like a very long time ago. It must have been about a year ago, wasn't it? That Ed and Ronnie heard about the Waterfords buying into Newton and Ridley, and weirdly they didn't explain it in the dialogue too much. Like, you know how they often
insider trading is bad if you're poor.
No. I'm saying that all they said was that insider trading that your dad and uncle get involved in. They didn't say what it was about, because
no, I know.
Yeah,
you're
people
supposed
with
to remember.
Short memories like us.
Right. So the insider trading was when Debbie knew that something was going to get sold, and then the stock prices bloody blew and told bloody blah blah.
Yeah, look how well we remember this.
So Swain turns up and hears about the fact that Dee-Dee got a dead end at Walcott's, and she's about to head off when Dee-Dee gets a phone call from somebody at Walcott's wanting to meet with her and says, oh, maybe it wasn't a dead end after all. And so Dee-Dee meets up with this person who has got Joel's old work phone and says, this guy, Joel, was the golden boy.
This was somebody, I think he was working on the reception at Walcott's, wasn't he?
I don't know if he was a receptionist, I don't know why.
Well, he was standing behind a desk.
Well, it doesn't mean that. He's a receptionist.
He was there. He'd overheard what it was, and
he says, look,
unlike Mr. Walcott, he has no loyalty to Joel.
It's like, Joel's a dickhead. I didn't like him then, I don't like him now. And so here you go, take this phone and get dirt on him. One day he just didn't turn up and he got put on permanent gardening leave, so find out why. Don't tell anybody that I told you this. So Lauren goes to see Dee-Dee later with a coffee and an apology for being a cow. And she says, look, I'm sorry, Joel's played me again, makes me mad, and I don't want him to take Frankie away. So Dee-Dee takes the phone to Swain. Joel's wiped it, but the police forensics department can find out what was on it, can't they? And Swain says, no, do not receive a stamp. Case closed. I can't do anything else. And Dee-Dee says, please. And Swain goes, fine, I'm sure I can find a corrupt, bent forensics IT person who won't have a name, who can do some kind of hacking on it.
Well, Swain doesn't need a whole lot of persuading, because even though Costello has closed the case, she's determined, isn't she?
Can you hear yourself, Michael?
What?
Costello's closed the case, but Swain's still determined to find out who did it. It's like, what are we doing? This is Coronation Street. Not the bill.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Anyway, so Dee-Dee comes up to Ed, and Kit comes up to Ed and Dee-Dee later and says, I've heard that there was some insider trading. And Dee-Dee's like, oh God, Joel started Operation Take Me Down. So they go inside. Ed plays dumb. Not difficult. Dee-Dee makes out Joel's making things up to get back at her. So Kit leaves because he's like, I don't even want to do any work, to be honest with you. It's boring. Imagine being a police officer. This is why I don't want to be a police officer, because it's all drugs and like boring stuff or fighting. I'd rather solve murders. I don't want to do drugs and boring stuff.
You can specialise in that, maybe.
I don't think you can't just pitch up and go, hi, I want to do the murders. but the murders will be boring drug stuff. It's boring. Sorry, anyone who got murdered for drugs. So they go inside. So Ed's like, sorry about this. I've dragged you in to this mess. And Dee-Dee says, I'm not backing down yet. Adam later tells Dee-Dee that she should probably just leave this alone. Stop working here for a bit. Take some full pay and go until this mess is over. And Dee-Dee's upset about it. Why, I don't know, because no work, all pay sounds good to me.
Well, this is a perfect opportunity for her to try and take down Joel full time.
She could get a job in Freshco and make double the pay.
Yeah.
So then there's another confrontation because Dee-Dee cannot for the life of her remember how to lock her front door. Joel comes in and says, you don't turn off love like we had. Run away with me.
Weird, wasn't it?
Run away with me. I never meant to hurt you. You're my future. And he tries to kiss her and she's like, no.
What was this about?
Just a desperate attempt to try to...
He is deering in the headlights, but surely he shouldn't have thought... He could never have thought that was going to work.
It might have worked at some point with somebody else.
Maybe he has done it.
And also, maybe he was stealing something. We don't know. I don't think so, though. Swain visits Dee-Dee at her flat. Well, she should just get a receptionist like that bloke. Learns what Joel's done and that Adam's put her on leave. And Swain says, look, roll with the punches. Never forget, we've got truth on our side. I've given the phone to a mate in forensics. It's a big risk, but I'm determined to nail him.
Yeah, so that was kind of what went on with that.
Also, I kind of liked that she said Swain seemed to have some kind of hatred of men here, because she's like, I'm going to nail that man. Like it was a pejorative just to say the word man, which I really kind of like.
I thought that was a cool ending to the episode when she said her intent to take him down, but it does feel a little bit like we know that already, and at this point I'm saying, well, can you just hurry up and do it? I'm totally ready for this story to end.
I know that we keep saying it's a bit like The Bill, but it's not like The Bill. It's like a kind of 90s buddy cop movie. Like, whereas what all we're missing is the cute police dog that gets shot at the end.
Oh no. So also in this episode, this is where we had a few bits between Swain and Betsy. Basically, Swain saying, Mason's a load of trouble. Dylan sees her, Betsy, and says, look, should we go to dinner later? So they're in the cafe later, and Dylan's sensing that Betsy's gone off him a little bit, and she's like, oh yeah, well, I suppose it is too soon after Mason, so you're dumped. And then at the end of the episode, Mason's in a cell, which surprised me a bit, because although we saw him got hauled off on, was it Friday? I can't remember. I wasn't expecting him to actually be locked up somewhere, because we've seen so many people get arrested on Corrie over the years.
What did he get arrested for? Stealing a purse.
Oh, yeah.
Betsy set him up.
Yeah.
But he didn't really steal it. And he says, right, you come clean today or I'm going to find my own kind of justice.
Yeah, so that's kind of what Betsy's doing.
Not this week.
So this is the end for Betsy and Dylan. But Dylan's still staying on here to go to college, isn't he? So that whole mini relationship between those two was just to stop him going down to London. I don't really know, but we were saying last week, does she really have any feelings for him? Because it was clear that when she was kissing him on the bench at Victoria Gardens, she was just doing it for Mason's benefit. And poor old Dylan's been played a little bit, but I'm sure we'll get over it.
I could do without it. On Wednesday, Swain gets a call from forensics. They found a way into Joel's phone. His password was 1234. Hooray! Swain goes to see Kit and asks him, have you ever considered that it was Joel that planted the evidence of Nathan? And he says, no, and it's not really worth looking into, to be honest. And she says, well, I'm going to look up the CCTV to see whether we can see how the evidence was planted.
Nothing came of that, did it?
But you were saying, why didn't they do this before? But I'm thinking, what CCTV do you think there is, Swain? Because what?
Then if they
thought it was Sarah, but now she's saying it might have been Joel, but it was actually Kit.
Yeah.
Why would the thing is that I said to you, why would the evidence have been planted seconds before it was found?
It doesn't have to have been, though.
Exactly.
That van was at that building site for a good week or two.
Yeah, exactly. So why does she think she can look at CCTV and see, why would it have been planted there?
Because I think that if I was...
The very fact of the matter that she thinks that there's CCTV of it being planted is really ridiculous, because Nathan driving his van all over the place, there were so many opportunities and so many people that could have put that hair in there. Just because... Really, it's incredibly lucky for her that literally it was Kit and he did it and he went, oh, look what I've just found.
No, but if I'm somebody who wants to plant evidence in Nathan's van and I know that he's going to work at that same building site every day, then I was like, well, I've got the perfect place to plant it. And
but why would it be there necessarily and not where he lives?
Well, but maybe they don't know where he lives.
Has she really got
That's the only place that I know where Nathan is, so I'm going to do it there. And maybe I did it a week ago, and then Kit finds it, or maybe I did it straight before.
But she's also expecting to see what did happen. And to be fair, she's right. She can look on the CCTV and find it. But the idea that she thinks she can is silly, because it's not necessarily going to be somebody coming up with a big evidence bag and turning it upside down and in clear view of the camera. Somebody could have got in the car and got a lift off him and put it on the floor, and nobody would have ever seen it happening.
That's true. But I wonder whether they will actually find some CCTV, because they'll see Sarah there, won't they? They'll see Sarah with the scrunchie, and they may well assume, well, that's our proof. She planted it.
That's what I would do. I say, right, I should stop watching now. I found all I want to. Right, so Swain gets a call from Costello, and he's like, "What are you up to?"
I want to see more of Costello in person. I liked him last week. He only got phone calls.
This is just, oh my God. It's like, I'm kind of expecting somebody to go, "Listen, Swain, you've got 1 day to retirement. Don't ruin it for yourself." You know?
Yeah.
But they don't. She doesn't get confronted. So in the bistro, Swain says, "Kit, why'd you ever go at me and tell Costello about me?" And he said, "Yeah, well, I did, because you were messing around and you can get suspended, and I'm trying to help you, and I don't want to get dragged down." Really, though, he intercepted her before she got a chance to look at the CCTV.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So she's not going to be able to do it now.
Oh, yeah, I suppose so.
Because he's like, "You're off the case, God damn it! I'm going to bust you down to traffic cop."
She is his boss, though, remember?
No, I'm being Costello.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Swain tells Carla...
You're going to be working with Craig full time. You're going to be walking the beat with him. That's your punishment.
You're going to babysit that Tinker kid. Right, so Swain says to Carla, "I've been told not to chase Joel, but it won't stop me." At the end of every episode is her going, "I'm going to nail that man to the wall. I'm going to bring him down." I don't know why I keep doing an American accent, but I'm enjoying myself. So
this is why I'm feeling that maybe this is getting a bit repetitive.
I know.
So.
Every episode, don't forget, I'm really mad about it. I'm going to get him.
And then Joel does a bit of an evil smirk, and she's just chasing her tail around in circles.
I still love Joel. I just don't, like Swain's on the wane.
Swain's on the way.
Sorry.
I'm still not really engaged. Like I said last time, I'm not engaging with Joel as a villain as much as I do most other big villains. There's plenty of villains, like low key villains, go through in this program, and I don't care or not whether I enjoy them or not. You know, like Stefan Brent or I don't know, Hashim or something like that. But Joel, he's absolutely the type of villain that I would normally absolutely love and probably be rooting for. And this, I'm not. I don't know what it is.
Oh well. Meanwhile, Betsy still there.
Oh yeah, so there was some quite nice stuff there, wasn't there? It was basically, there was a few other scenes about Betsy and Swain's relationship, and Carla trying to matchmake. Well, is that the right word?
She's just trying to say, look, what are you mad at your mum for? What's up? And she says, oh, well, she basically kind of, is it revealed that or did we know this already? I can't remember. Betsy perhaps is not the biological daughter of Lisa. I'm not sure.
That wasn't revealed.
Well, I don't know if it was, because she said, I can't remember what she said. She said something.
No, she just says that my other mum was more of the touchy-feely type when she was alive, and Swain has always been a bit of that, the bad cop.
Maybe I misunderstood
Yeah,
it.
no, that I really don't think there's any question
Well,
that
anyway,
they are
she's
biologically
like...
related, but she's saying that I wish that we were closer.
And so Carla says, why don't you meet her halfway? So Betsy brings Swain a custard slice after work, which I hope that Americans know what a custard slice is.
You can see it on there.
What is it?
No, it's just a
What's that one again? Oh, mealy feely. So it's layers of puff pastry with cream.
Very tasty.
And you cannot eat it. Nobody can eat this thing without destroying it.
Yeah.
So Swain's like...
Don't eat it with your uniform on, Swain.
Swain doesn't have a uniform. She's got a leather jacket.
I suppose that's probably quite good for custard slices then. It's wiped clean.
She's like, I've got no fear of any food. I can eat whatever I want. Swain says, that's nice. You're the most important person in my life. I'm not very good at showing it. And then they, happy. And Carla smiles.
That was sweet. That was probably, that's probably my favourite bit of this story. Just the fact that they had a nice mother-daughter moment.
On Friday, Carla and Swain get chatting in the cafe, and Swain gets a phone call from Betsy's college saying, "Where's Betsy? She's not been coming to school." And she's like, "Oh my God, I'm going to have to do something about this." Oh my goodness, I don't care about Betsy at all.
Then now you've got it.
No, I know, but I don't care about Betsy. I don't care about Betsy, and I don't care about Swain and Betsy, and I don't care about Carla trying to make Swain and Betsy more good friends with each other.
I'll see if that was the bit that I kind of liked.
No, I didn't. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. There's a murderer afoot. There's a rapist to catch, and we're just eating custard slices and rubbing them on our leather jackets? I don't think so.
You believe what Carla was saying about Joel being a murderer, which was, I admit it, a brilliant line, because she sees Joel talking with an associate in the...
They are getting their money's worth for this new Chariot Square hotel set.
Aren't they just?
It's the new bistro. So Carla's there with her business associate. She sees Joel. She goes up and he's talking to somebody and says, "Oh, what are you talking about? A rape or a murder?" Because he does both. And that was brilliant.
That was a good
This woman gets uncomfortable and leaves, and Carla's smirking and goes... And he says something to her, and she's like, "Oh, the woman beater's trying to attack me. Oh, please, can everybody notice this man's threatening me? Give this woman beater his." It
was a bit hysterical, really. I don't think anybody really cared.
What's it called? The check.
The bill.
The bill.
Yeah, which is what
did it.
That got a shout out on Corrie this week, actually, didn't it? Because apparently Paul, did you hear that?
No.
Billy was saying that Paul had been watching a load of repeats of the bill.
Oh, I knew that they were watching Legally Blonde at one point.
Yeah, no, Bill gets a shout out as well. Yeah, so everyone is... I think if I was in that hotel and some crazy woman started saying, "Oh, he's a murderer, he's a wife beater," I'd be like, what's that? What's that crazy woman? All right, love, whatever you say. I think Carla ended just making herself look a bit stupid. But I don't think that we were supposed to think that at the end. We were supposed to think, yeah, Carla's not scared of Joel.
Right, so she goes home in the factory alone. Again, no locks on anywhere. Joel just walks in everywhere.
No, it's fine. Everybody's just left. She's just kicked Dirk out, and then,
all right, so they're all walking out, and in walks Joel, and they're like, "Hi, Joel." "Yeah, she's in there. Yeah, she's alone."
Yeah, okay, maybe.
There's a bunch of lace here you can use as a garrote if you'd like.
Murders have happened in this factory before.
Exactly.
You remember the first?
Carla's been responsible for a death or two.
There's a very nice looking... What? Hole punch.
Yeah. Anyway, Carla just like, "Oh, come in," and he just prowls around and says, "I'm going to sue you for slander." And then Swain comes in and he buggers off, and then Carla goes on about how sad she is and almost drops Jenny in it. I don't know why.
No, she's just... do you remember? She was talking about all of her... everything's gone wrong this year. Peter's left me. Simon's gone. And Jenny stole my... Ooh. So she almost drops Jenny in it here.
See.
And then later on, she drops herself in it, doesn't she?
Well, Betsy comes in.
No, Betsy drops her in it. That's it.
Betsy comes in and Swain's like, "Oh," rubbing Carla's arm, and Betsy's like, "No," and stomps off. So Swain finds her in the park, and she's like, "Oh, he's just comforting her," and Betsy's like, "Whatever," and then Swain says she's straight, and then Betsy says, "So spaghetti till you boil it." Like, what did you think I was? I wasn't boiling her arm. And then Betsy says, "How could you replace my mum?" This is what I think made me think that she was not her biological mum, but that they're both her mum. So Betsy goes, "How could you replace my mum with that cow that knocked a kid over with her on his bike the other month?"
And that did make me think just for a second, what she talked. Oh yes, there was that time, that weird moment where Carla doors somebody on his bike.
That's bad, you know. Bad.
Anyway,
Swala fans were excited because there was an arm rub that Betsy, I mean, you can't cock block a lesbian, but she kind of did.
Yeah, I still don't think there's any reason for Carla to actually be interested in Swain at the moment, and I'm not getting any vibes from Carla at all. I'm not really getting any from Swain at the moment either, but I just can't help seeing, thinking about it whenever they're in a scene together, because that's what the online community has concocted up for them.
No, Coronation Street knows what they're doing here, and I just hope that this is not, I mean, what do they call it? Queer baiting.
Yeah.
Where they're like teasing a gay relationship because they know it's salacious and it gets the fans going and stuff. Please don't let this be a big wind up, because it's playing with people's feelings. A lot of people quite, invested in this, and Coronation Street's got a bit of a bad track record with the fandom and gay characters, because we had all that stuff with killing your gays. We had what happened with Rana and Kate most recently, I think.
Yeah.
There haven't been very many great lesbian characters on the show. And now you've got this character that's Swain, who it was revealed that she was gay, and then they've teased this Carla thing, and Carla, like, Swain said, has always been seemingly straight.
Well, yeah, I still think that if Carla turns around and goes, well, actually, I don't think it would make sense. So I don't know how Corrie can win this, really. They're either going to pee off a load of people who are massive Swala fans, or they're going to turn Carla into something that she's not been anything like this before.
It's not necessarily that. It's giving ammunition to homophobia, which already you get loads of that on Coronation Street. If you say anything nice about a gay character on Coronation Street, you'll attract some really nasty homophobic people who say, "Oh, I hate it, it's woke and gay." So stupid.
Well, it feels like I'm wondering what's going to happen. What's the relationship between Swain and Carla going to be like now that Swain knows that Carla's been a bit of a naughty crim and knocked this boy off the bike? Is she going to do anything? Because she likes to play things, I say she likes to play by the book, but she is also trying to bend the rules a bit with Joel. Is she going to be happy with the knowledge that Carla has done something pretty naughty and not say anything about it? Could this cause some kind of big argument between them that then ends in a passionate embrace? I don't know.
I don't know. I just want people to be happy watching Corrie, and I don't want people's feelings to be messed around with, and I think it's very dangerous to kind of lead people down a path and then not open the gate.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
And I'm totally, I think Carla and Swain, if that's what they want to do, I think they should do it. I don't know. It just feels at the moment like it's just being really slow, and I'm worried that it's gonna rile people up.
What I'm most interested,
and I'm not worried about. Well, I am worried about a black backlash, because I don't like it when Coronation Street gets criticised, because it makes me feel bad. But I also don't like it when people get upset, and I don't want people to be upset by this story, because loads of people were super excited by the idea of Carla and Swain, and I don't want them to end up with nothing at the end of this except being made to feel a bit stupid, because
thinking that it could ever happen in the first place.
It just feels a bit like Coronation Street, it has the potential to do that, and it concerns me. That's all I'm going to say.
What I'm most interested in this now, to be honest, is Carla nearly dropping Jenny in it. Only because that particular storyline came to a grinding halt back in, when was it, March, April time? And Carla's anything to do with the pub, like, I don't even know how public it's supposed to be at the moment. They've kept it very hidden from, well, not just the residents of Coronation Street, but us as viewers. But yeah, Swain's gonna wonder, and I think that maybe that storyline's going to rear its head again. And in a way it's good because it does feel unsatisfying the way it's ended, but equally the whole money stealing thing, Stephen's money and Carla being in charge of the pub but she's not, just has been a total mess, and bringing it back up again I don't think they're going to make any more sense.
Here's an idea. Maybe Swain is going to confront Carla about all this stuff that she's found out. Like, maybe she's going to join the dots. Maybe she's going to speak to Jenny. Maybe she's going to do that whole fake out, like, Carla told me what happened between you two. And Jenny be like, Carla told you that I stole a dead man's money and used and then maybe, you know, she'll investigate this maybe she'll get her hands and see some CCTV because she's dying to have a look at something and see this dooring, and maybe then she'll confront Carla and she'll say, I thought you were one thing but you're just a nasty criminal, and and maybe she'll say something like, maybe she'll reveal her feelings, or maybe she won't. But maybe her disgust will stir something in Carla and make her realise that she does have feelings for Swain, and she doesn't want her to think she's a bad person.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm really, really, really struggling to get any kind of real interest in anything that's going on here. I think that the most interesting bit of this maybe is Swain and Betsy and Mason. I kind of found that slightly.
Betsy and Mason.
I did find that kind of interesting slightly.
Well, he was like on what was it, Wednesday? I'm going to get you next episode. Well, okay, you haven't, have you?
No, he's no to be heard of again. But I just can't. I can't latch on to what's going on with Joel and Dee-Dee. I really, really want to, but I can't.
I don't care about Betsy.
It feels like it's really, really going round in circles. And I know that she, sometimes getting a slight further, but it's so baby steps. But maybe I'm just spoiled with the big reveal of the Battersby thing. I don't know.
Well, listen.
But like you said, they're having all these episodes ending with Swain saying, I'm going to get you, and it feels like she's been wanting to get him for ages.
Imagine that Swain and Carla and Betsy and Mason and Joel and Dee-Dee and Lauren are all little mice in a vat of milk, and they're turning and turning and turning, and eventually they'll make a nice big iceberg of butter and they can climb out.
I hope so, and I hope it's going to happen soon. I'd really like this story to come to a head in the next few weeks.
But if any of them offer you some toast, don't eat it because it'll be full of fur.
Right, I want to move on to the next story because I did like the pool stuff. It was fairly low key, I suppose. Like, this was a little bit of nice stuff with Paul and Billy. Oh, isn't it tragic? He's going to die soon. But because I'm more invested in it, I didn't mind the slow pace. I really loved the little photo shoot scene that we got at the beginning of Monday's episode when they had the quads.
They wish they were the quids.
Quids in. They were dressed up in their little school uniforms, weren't they?
I cannot
believe they're old enough to go to school already.
Max is 18, the quads are going to school.
Yeah.
What's happening?
And they have a nice little photo session with some Paul Heaton in the background. They had a bit of House Martins, didn't they? Happy hour. Classic. So, and then it was the old, it was even like silly editing, wasn't it? With like the camera view from the view of Todd behind anyway. But it was lovely. And Paul says to Billy later, look, don't let the quads forget me. And he's like, I won't. Paul is really kind of realising that the end is drawing very, very near at this point. And he's,
just watching TV with Bernie, watches Oliver Twist.
Oh, yeah. And we realise as the week goes on that Billy is...
Billy's becoming a bit suffocated.
Yeah, he's bound to Paul out of husbandly duty, but not in a way he wants to be.
Yes,
but
still hard.
He needs a release because it's so hard work. 24/7 looking after this guy who
can't leave the flat.
Yeah. And so there's a bit of a clash of the stories really when he meets up with Sean and Dylan on the bench and they talk about their respective stories, and then Sean says, oh look, do you want to come for a brew with me afterwards? And Billy's like, oh, I'll go back to Paul. This is kind of making me wonder a little bit about, is anything going to reignite between Billy and Sean, even if it's just friendship again? Because Sean and Billy used to be so close, and they used to be, I used to really love them as a couple, but Sean's been very much not a part of this. I would like to see him be a part of helping Billy get through the bereavement, the imminent bereavement, especially Sean in his new, bit more serious persona that we've seen of him in the last 6 months or so. But
yes.
Who knows? So Wednesday's episode, there was Summer. I thought Harriet Bibby did a really lovely job actually on this one. The story, there was a funny little bit about his eye gaze nearly running out of battery.
This really upset me because I don't think they meant to do this, but this I guess happens when you're in Paul's situation. They kind of treated him like a bit of furniture at one point, and he's then laboriously composing this what he calls his manifesto, or Billy calls a manifesto, is Paul with his machine, and then it's nearly running out of battery, and Billy's being so blasé about it. I can't find the charger, and he hasn't really looked, and then he can't find it. And
this is the one way that Paul can communicate with people, and
Billy's like, one of them things.
What are we like? Why have they even got only one charger anyway?
I know, and then
this is this guy's lifeline.
Really blasé about it, and then someone says, look, I'll help him write it. You need a break. You go and socialise with somebody, and then she takes his eye gaze machine off of Paul, without even saying, do you mind if I move this? She just kind of pulls it away from him.
It's like, you can't stop me.
Like, you can't do anything with this now. The battery's running out. This guy's been sitting there writing this out, and everyone's like, well, you've lost that now, haven't you? Because we couldn't be bothered to look for the charger.
Yeah, that's what it felt like a little bit. I don't know how much it was supposed to feel
I'd be so annoyed if I was Paul. This is what he was worried about. They didn't seem...
Feeling like an inconvenience.
I was expecting this to turn into something, but it didn't.
What, like what?
Well, like, you know, I feel like I'm ignored and I don't have a voice and I've got to rely on you. This is everything he was worried that would happen. All happened in a scene, and it was completely unremarked upon.
Well, the main focus of this episode was this manifesto, which, although he can't electronically compose it, thankfully Summer's there with her pegboard with the letters on, and I don't know how on earth this works. But by the end of it, he's got a big old speech, which we did transcribe down, but then it just kept going on and on and on. But it was basically this is what I want to happen after I die, including make sure you throw away that horrible blue thong, Billy. Take more holidays and don't work so much.
Eat more fibre.
Don't wallow in grief.
Get another boyfriend.
And the main kind of the pinnacle of this speech is him saying, I want you to fall in love again. I don't want you to be alone. You're a wonderful man. You've got so much to give. So he's basically saying, don't wallow on forever. Find someone else after me. I mean, this is a soap opera. He doesn't need to say this. It's going to happen naturally anyway.
Christmas time, Billy's going to be there under the mistletoe with a new fella.
Yeah, I don't think by Christmas. I really don't think by Christmas. But there is going to be another man in Billy's life at some point.
Yeah, he's not going to let the grass grow.
Yeah, But I suppose it's a case of, is it going to be Todd or is it going to be Sean? Because once again, we're left with not many options.
Maybe
for
there'll be
Billy.
A hot new guy.
Maybe there will.
Maybe Kit's
yeah,
gay.
Maybe,
we don't know.
Maybe. Anyway, obviously Billy is finding this instruction to to find another love a little bit difficult to stomach at the moment. So he says that, and that was a really lovely scene as well, where he's there really up close with Paul in his wheelchair and saying, like, I'll do everything you said apart from, you know, the exception. You're the love of my life, Paul. There'll never be another. How can I promise you something I can't even envisage? And Paul, I like the moments that they choose to have Paul speak with his, you know, through his vocal cords, through his mouth, because that's obviously the most heartfelt and human sort of moments. And he's like, please. And Billy's like, okay, look, as long as you accept that they're not going to hold a candle to you, then maybe I won't close myself off. So he's already coming around to the idea a little bit. And they Paul says he wants a haircut, and that's kind of the end. But yeah, those scenes were lovely. I'm really going to miss this Billy and Paul stuff when they're gone, because those two are so fab together.
I know, and who would have ever thought, really?
Yeah.
Because there was that whole thing with Billy, Paul and Todd, who they're going to end up with, and I don't think I was happy when it was Paul and Billy, to be honest.
Well, I mean, Paul and Billy were together for quite a while. I mean, when Paul came into it, he was Billy's partner for a few years, and then Todd comes in and disrupts them. So I suppose this story does just, the fact that they've been together for the last year and a half or so is putting things back to how they had been before Paul got his claws in.
Who?
Billy got his claws.
Billy?
Todd. I'll get there in the end. The third gay dad. But yeah, I think they're great. So Friday, Kit comes round, doesn't he? And I thought he was looking a little bit dodgy at the end, but I think it was more him deciding, Paul says he needs a haircut. I know somebody who cuts hair. I don't know why they didn't think of them really, because he goes round to the cafe and gets David to give him a bit of a trim.
I know, David, this was inspired.
I know.
Who would have thought that his old friend, who was a hairdresser, could have cut Paul's hair for him?
I still think that in Paul's final months, we've not seen enough of him and David together.
There's no time.
I know, it's sad.
There's no time.
So
we need 3 scenes of Swain telling us that she's gonna get Joel.
Yeah.
And also Joel coming into Dee-Dee's flat and going, "When are you gonna lock the door, you dozy cow?"
So Billy is prized away from Paul in the flat in tonight's episode, wasn't he? So we can go and have a bit of a booze up at Chariot Square Hotel. Where else?
Really?
Where else? And those scenes were quite nice. I didn't remember there being any particularly memorable dialogue, but it was quite jovial, and you don't see very many friend things that often on Coronation Street.
Who was that?
So it was David, it was Todd, and then Kit turns up on the end a little bit as well. Because but Kit first, he's the one that's looking after Paul, isn't he? Because we get this moment that was similar to a few weeks ago where Paul couldn't breathe and Kit didn't know what to do and he was panicking and Bernie comes in. But this time
he does know what to do.
It was like again Peter Ashton, we don't need to say he was fantastic, but him looking like he was choking and he couldn't breathe, it was really panicky stuff, wasn't it?
Can I just say, I forgot who plays Kit.
I can also not remember the actor's name.
Well, he did a really good job of panicking, but trying to act like, okay, well, I've got to keep a lid on this because this could turn out badly if I just lose my head. And obviously he's a police officer, so he's used to maintaining some kind of decorum. But he had to get the oxygen mask and strap it onto Paul's face to get him to help. And he clearly help him breathe.
Didn't know what he was doing. He was like crushing Paul's nose at one point, wasn't he? But yeah, I was wondering whether that was going to lead to him doing it wrong, or because he was trying to be all calm about it, wasn't he? He tried to wipe Paul's mouth at first, and I think that I was worried that it was going to be more serious than what Kit thought it was. You know what I mean? I think that Kit thought, I've got to stay calm. This is really terrifying, but I've got to stay calm, and I know what I'll do. I'll do the same as Bernie, and then it'll be okay. But what it actually was a lot worse.
Okay.
No, that's but anyway, it turned out. Basically, it turned out fine.
He was fine.
He could breathe in the end.
It's Jacob Roberts who plays Kit.
Oh yes, of course. And Bernie ends up coming so that Kit can go back to the hotel. Hang on,
no. Before then, Kit says to him, "I wish we had more time together."
Oh yeah.
And Paul says it won't be long now.
Oh yes, he does, doesn't he? Paul sees the end is in sight.
And Kit says, well, I'll make sure to spend as much time with you as possible.
Yeah.
Bye.
We see later Paul sending a goodbye message to Billy. Well, he kind of reads it out.
Not goodbye.
Yeah, good night message. Sorry to Billy. He reads it to Bernie, and it kind of warms the cockles of her heart.
Well, she was just thrilled to know that there's such a pure, true love between her son and Billy, and she said, not everyone gets this, even in their whole life. And she was just really content, and it was nice to see her at peace. And also, I thought it was so lovely when she was like, right, let's get you ready for bed, and she gets a little kit out to kind of help him. I don't know what she needs to do to help him prepare for bed, but it just felt like there was a routine there that we hadn't seen before, that has been going on unspoken this whole time. And everybody, I think, this feels like the calm before the storm, because everyone is kind of used to what's happening and become accustomed to it. But Paul is, warning, this isn't forever. I'm going to go soon.
Because he didn't want Kit to tell Bernie about the coughing fit that he had, that was not being able to breathe, and maybe that's going to turn into something next week. And Bernie's like, why didn't you tell me? I don't know. But it is really nice to see Bernie feeling content, because we've seen just a few weeks ago her losing it by saying this is eating me up. I can't stand to see my boy waste away.
Well, he was also talking about donating his organs, which upset her.
Yeah, but like that. Well, he said he wanted to donate his cornea, and it turned out he couldn't. And he was like, I'm going to make sure that I, spend the last few, however long I've got left, making a difference. And he hasn't really.
No, he said he was going to donate his body to science.
Is he?
And that would do.
Oh, okay.
That way you don't have to do anything. No. That's what I'm going to do.
So yeah, even though Bernie is going through hell, it's nice to know that she probably feels some kind of satisfaction and contentment with knowing that she's making Paul as comfortable and
she's
happy
also
as she can.
Probably looking at how beautifully Paul is coping and how wonderful his relationship is with Billy and thinking, I didn't do such a bad job actually.
Yeah.
Because Kit's really knocked her confidence and made her upset and made her think she's a bad mum.
Yeah, she's had a rough few months. Yeah.
So when Billy gets home...
Oh yeah, he comes home and he's thank you for leading me into that. He's just plastered, isn't he? He's had a few too many, and Paul's in bed at this point. So Billy says, "Look, just crash out on the sofa."
Bernie tells him to crash on the sofa.
What did I say? I was saying the wrong names again. And so he does, and she leaves him to it. And so Paul's in bed, Billy's on the sofa, and everything seems pretty much okay.
Yes.
For now. Anyway, it was just nice. That's it. A lot of this story seemed a bit repetitive, and like we've seen it before, and Billy does that. How many long, profound messages has Paul composed on his eye gaze or word board over the past few months? That seems very familiar, but I can't get enough of it. Whereas when Dee-Dee and Swain and Joel are doing their same cat and mouse again, even though there have been developments there, I was all complain, but you just can't make me happy. You can't.
Nobody can.
And speaking of which, this Jack storyline.
Come on then, I'll do it.
Go on.
Jack is all suited and booted for his court appearance on Monday, and Kevin's closes the garage so they can both go. While they're in the court waiting room, Stefan marches in and he's like, "How dare you get a plea bargain? My barrister's going to oppose it. You backstreet grease monkey and you druggy wife."
I think, was it Navdeep on our Facebook group who pointed out that Stefan's looking pretty good for someone that nearly burned to death? We've not seen him since the fire, and now you can never tell that anything happened to him.
I would say, if I was Abby, excuse me, I'm also a grease monkey and I'm an ex-druggy wife. Thanks very much. Anyway, they had all these big building up scenes and lots of like tension, and the Websters and all umming and ahhing and saying, what will happen? Our lives are about to change. And I was thinking, there's going to be something happening, because they don't normally make such a big deal about a court case, because they happen all the bloody time on this show. And nothing did happen. He just has to go to the youth offenders team or something.
Well, he's got to pay the cost, hasn't he?
£1,000.
And now the Websters are saying, where are we going to get this money from? But then you pointed out the other day that Kevin was perfectly happy to drop £6,000 a month to stop Abby's AI video appearing online.
Yeah. He's like, where will I find £1,000?
Maybe that's why you can't afford to pay Jack's fees, because he actually is paying for Abby to stay off the internet.
Right, so Stefan is having a go at a woman and saying, "You shouldn't be here," and Kevin and Abby tried to intervene.
Yeah, and Stefan tells them to bugger off. This woman, I was quite intrigued by this character. I quite liked her. I don't know how much of her we're going to see, but this later turns out it's Corey's mum, isn't it?
Yes.
And what's her name? Do you still remember?
Coral.
That's right.
And I only remember it because of The Walking Dead. Abby is mad about Stefan at the garage later, and then the woman turns up. She's Coral. They go to the house, and she had a breakdown after Corey killed Seb. Talks about how awful Stefan was. She's like, he was so rich, so I didn't mind. But then he was mean. And if only I stood up to him, and he wouldn't have made our son a murderer. Yeah,
she just wants to do what she can now to help kick the boot into him.
Yeah. Now she's thinking that I can get half the money in the divorce. She's suddenly interested. She's like, I don't know what to do. I can't stand by anymore. Apparently, she says, all of Stefan's mates have stopped talking to him, and Corey won't even let him visit him. And she says, I really want to help you. I've got money.
I don't really get why that happened.
What?
Why has everybody turned against Stefan now?
I know, they're all... Surely he's mates with a load of wrong-uns already.
Yeah, and Corey is clearly a wrong-un.
Yeah. What's he done wrong?
I don't know whether I'm missing something here. In their eyes,
honestly,
I don't know what he's done wrong.
He made deep fake porn of somebody.
Apparently, yeah.
It would be lovely to imagine that a group of men who would want to socialise with Stefan in the first place would be so up on women's rights that they would shun a guy for doing this. But unfortunately, I think the opposite would have happened.
Might.
If you're following that case in France, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So
I don't. I've got no idea, but now's not the time.
Well, I'll tell you about it later.
Tell me later.
So, she's like, do you want to go on holiday? I've got money. I can make a trust fund for Alfie. And Abby says, no, we don't want it. We don't need it.
But then later on they decide that they
Then they go, actually, £1,000 would be good, wouldn't it?
Well, this is on Wednesday, isn't it? When Jack's got his...
Oh, hang on. It's not £1,000. It's £3,000. This is when they find out on Wednesday. Yeah, this was right. Sorry. Wednesday was the episode where they're going on. Or maybe it was both.
He's had his... I don't know.
He had his
this storyline has been
really
pushed under the carpet. It's been dragged out for a bit, but the ending of it has been like, la la la, it's all fine, they're back to normal, and it kind of rushed past me so much that I did miss some of the
16 months rehabilitation order, £3,000 for fire damage, and Abby's like, we can't use Coral's money. But Coral comes to visit them and says, take my money. And they say, no. And she says, please. And they say, fine.
Yeah. It wasn't much deeper than that, was it, really? So that's the end.
This is why I don't like court case stories. It used to be a really big deal and kind of a shameful thing, like it would be in real life.
Yeah.
Whether you've done anything wrong or not, going to court to be accused of a crime is a terrifying ordeal and shameful and upsetting and traumatic. And
they've had kind of a token couple of lines where they've been like, oh, I'm really nervous today,
yeah.
but I've not felt it. It's
almost every single time somebody on Coronation Street does something wrong, they go to court and then they get given community service. You never see them doing it. It doesn't affect them in any way whatsoever.
No, because it's easy to tie a bow on the story by saying, yeah, community service off screen. Anyway, moving on.
So when Coral comes along and goes, oh, sorry, we didn't wave enough of a magic wand at this.
It was totally a magic wand money bush situation, wasn't it?
Why even bother having it?
Yeah. She's like their Linda, isn't she?
Yeah. Rich lady.
Swanning in from somewhere saying, have a load of cash, that solved the problem, and good night, the story's
She's like,
done.
also, I've got you an American fridge freezer.
Yeah. Right, last story then, we had the Tracy one, which was basically just, again... And I do like these characters and I do like the bitching, but it feels like Tracy and Cassie, it's just like, well, we've got some time to fill. Should we have them have a bitch at each other again? Should we have them wind each other up maybe? And it doesn't feel like it's got a whole lot much meat to its bones other than getting these two to have a sniping session.
I did like Cassie giving Tracy a complex by telling her she liked her teeth.
Yeah, that's funny. Basically, Tracy is... was it today?
Tracy's around on Wednesday, and then on Friday, Cassie is she's being a nice carer.
Yeah, she's saying that I think I might stay around here actually. To look after him.
Ken says that.
Does he? We have been watching it, guys. Promise.
Ken says,
a bit tired.
I'll miss her when she's not here.
Oh yeah, that's it.
And Cassie's like, well, you don't really need me. And he says, actually, I do. I think I need you for social
That's what happened.
Stuff. And also, you can make my dinner. It's like having a wife, but you pay her. What's that called?
Cassie and Tracy have this sniping session later, and also Tracy says, well, I can see you've been fluttering your eyelashes at Steve as well. And Cassie's like, no, nothing like that, actually. And also, Steve's been brilliant with your dad while you've been away, not doing anything. But then towards the end of the episode, she kind of pointedly asked Steve out for a little drink before the football or something, just to wind Tracy up a little bit more. And Tracy at some point after that asked Steve, is Cassie the one that you fancy? And he says no. Basically, it's just a very, very long-winded dilly-dallying around. Steve's eventually going to get back with Tracy.
Or Cassie.
I wish that something would happen. Because again, Steve's been on the dating circuit. That he's been circling Cassie for what feels like months now, and it gets brought in every now and then it gets forgotten about. You get some stories like I'll moan about the Joel story a bit, but at least the story does have these like, oh, and now it's jumping forward, and the same with the Battersby storyline. That feels like there's some, and now this is happening, and it's completely different to what you thought the way the trajectory, the journey was going. But this is just being a bit too meandery, I think.
We got to find out that Steve's been waxed.
I mentioned that earlier, didn't I?
I know, but Tracy was very intrigued.
Bring it up again. Yeah, Steve's a whole new man. Maybe that's what's gonna. Maybe she likes that, but I bet Tommy O is. And that's what, and maybe that's what's going to get her back with Steve. I don't know. I've got nothing to say about this, have I? You can tell. It was the Battersby story that kept this week going for me. We were able to talk about an hour on that one, and everything else has been squeezed into the same amount of time. That was absolutely brilliant. But I think that the other stories, for me, did drag it down a little bit. I mean, not the Paul one, but then the Paul one was just everything's kind of nice, and he did another nice speech, and I'm gonna give it 3.5, 3.5 of Billy's blue thongs out of 5 this week. There was some really amazing stuff, but the rest just didn't do it for me.
Well, on my desktop, I have 4 Leanne's folders. 4
folders of Leanne's.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm only deleting 2 of them. Yeah, I'll give it this week's 4. I think I'm gonna give the character of the week to Leanne.
It's gotta be Leanne. I was gonna say she was fantastic.
Fantastic. Jane Danson, brilliant job.
Yeah.
So much history.
She's found out the truth, yet she's still kind of taken in by the Institute as a whole. Her grins on Friday as Nick was trying to get into the flat, and her just sarky responses to everything that he was saying. I loved it. She was properly on form, and of course still willing to extend that olive branch to her sister. Icing on the cake for me. Yeah. So pretty good week with a jolly good Wednesdays episode.